I drove field cuts through my neighborhood.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearlessly Authentic. I'm Lucky.
What's up, people?
No.
There's a
Yeah, you have us open over here. Okay.
okay. Echo. Psychedelic burrito. In full effect. Wait, make sure the effects are not on.
Oh, no.
Is this the black slider next to the red one off?
The blue?
Or whatever. It's the one next to the red one. Is it all the way down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're good then.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
It was only echoing because it was another.
Hey, Devin. Good to see you. Let me give you a wrench.
You were not born a vampire and then turned into a werewolf. And if you did, I want you to bite me on the neck because that
yes,
sounds
Oz.
awesome.
I have a new pet on my head.
If you did, I want you to bite me on the neck. Okay, well the audio's okay.
I wanted to.
We've got the audio worked out.
There we go. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
So I just big announcement. I know some of you already know, and some of you might not even know this person, but we have a special guest that's going to be coming up on the 15th. Buck Angel is going to be coming on, the OG Trampa. So I'm really excited about that. That will be fun. And if you don't know who Buck Angel is, you could check out his YouTube in the meantime. And
He's a transpa. That's like a totally new word to me. So like,
he is great because he's a OG, like old school transgender, and actually believes in biology.
Yeah, he's like, not under delusions that because he calls himself a man, he doesn't have the gear downstairs to replicate that thing. He's just like,
I know he has like the best of both worlds. Like, honestly,
this makes me feel better about who I am, and so it worked for him. So that's fucking awesome. I'm interested to talk.
Yes, I love that he calls himself Trampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like like an old school transsexual. So we've talked about that before. So today we have some like great stuff for you. We're kicking off Pride Month. And I've been called a transphobe, a bigot, like all these things today. As and I know that I'm not transphobic. I know that I'm not a bigot. I love people. And I just believe in protecting children, and I believe in biology. But apparently, if you believe in that, then that makes you transphobic or a TERF or a bigot or whatever these names are that they want to call you. So, whatever. Like I'm anti LGBTQ, even though I'm part of that community.
Leo wants to talk. I have met a couple of Richards that were not from around here, and they didn't do as good as Richards from around here.
Stop trying. I'm not Steve.
Lady Alex. Oh, lick her forehead. Her forehead is not as delicious as mine, is
He's
it?
looking at Steve and he's like, oh.
He's like, okay, Mom.
I'll lick you.
I gotta lick somebody's forehead.
He's a lover. And and I have a couple of articles that I'm gonna put in the show notes down below. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about some stuff tonight that might trigger some people, and we're gonna kick off Pride right. and talk about some pride stuff. So
Aggro's like, oh, high butt in the house.
high butt in the air.
I put a Leo and a high butt in the air song up on the social mediums today.
You did.
I did. I put a whole bunch of freaking songs up all over the place. Put like 5 of them on TikTok, and I put like 3 of them on YouTube and some on other places. And I hid some under rocks. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to find them next spring, and they'll be all grown into perfectly good recordings of songs that I made copies of. I don't know what I'm talking about. They could have used rubber bands and popsicle sticks. Well, you know, necessity is the mother of invention.
Wait, who's using what for what?
I don't know. Something about ladies. Alex said, you know, a flaccid penis, a transplanted flaccid penis would just be flaccid all the time. And I'm like, I knew a couple of Richards that moved to town, and they were not from around here. They didn't do as well as the other Richards from around here.
So I know people, I know trans people that didn't have like the bottom surgery, and they just use a prosthetic, and they use prosthetics when they need them.
I like that.
Like, you know, they kind of get the best of both worlds that way.
Aggro said it best. He said, my bald head is a solar panel for their sex machine. Exactly.
What?
Solar panels, man. It's the future. Bald solar panels, baby. I heard that they can implant a fake cock pump under the armpits, and then when you get excited, you take off. Well, you got to flap your arms real hard to get excited, but it seems worth it in the end. I don't know.
So
I'm just kidding.
There's a tweet that kind of like set me off today about pride, and I want to share it with you guys.
Because there's a thing about it.
Because there's more to this than just it being pride. Like, I'm not like there's going to be some nuance in this conversation.
Oh my God.
Warning.
Don't hit him with the nuance already.
I know. Oh no.
Nobody will watch. Everybody will just be like, oh, nobody's watching now anyway. It's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
Not that Twitter. Not that one. I want that one. That's the one I want.
It's pretty funny though. The nuance involved in explaining why, you know, being 100% behind pride flags being everywhere, there is nuanced conversation to be had about that because of certain factors and certain things that happen to movements over time.
Yeah.
What always happens to every good movement?
It's
a question for the class.
I used to have a pride flag on like a bumper sticker or a magnet on every vehicle I have for years. I used to always have my pride stuff. I used to be like, yeah, you know, like we want equality. It's not the same as it used to be. It's not. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel right. It was about having the equality to love who we wanted to love. And I feel like it's gone well beyond that at this point. So let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. And I'm going to show you this little like, I don't want that music because that will probably get me, you know.
Exactly, Angela. Angela guessed. She guessed correct. Give her a cookie.
So this is a TikTok that was put up, and somebody put it up on Twitter. Now, why would I have a problem with this, right? Like, why would I have a problem? I love rainbows. I'm part of this community.
I love gay people.
Yeah, I absolutely, you know, like you can't say Steve's against the LGBTQ community. I'm part of it. You know, like we have rainbow freaking flags and we have a pride section on our store. You know, we're not against it. What I'm against is such a very blatant, like, in your face display of it. And in this post, the person suggested that this should be pushed into even the conservative neighborhoods. And in their thread, they admit that they want the conservatives mad. And see, that's where I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to push my sexuality preferences on anybody. I don't want to push it on children. I don't want to push it onto people that are going to be reactionary, and it's going to cause more division. Because you know what that means? That will set us back. That will set us back in how far we have come. And there's a lot of people who think that they're allies and think that this is good and that we should have this everywhere. And as I love rainbows, but I feel myself not wanting to wear my rainbow stuff during Pride Month because it is so co-opted. Like every corporation is doing it. And
every public space in every fucking major city in the United States.
And it's about my sexuality. Like
has a thing.
That's not something that like that needs to be pushed onto people. You know what I mean? And kids.
It's the equivalent to what people consider male toxic, being a male toxic misogynist person, having hot chick mud flaps on your dirt bike or your truck or whatever, like, or nutsack hanging off your trailer hitch. It's like,
I don't like that either.
I don't care for that either. But ultimately, the thing about it is the fact that ultimately both of those things are the same thing. That's the guy saying, I'm proud to be a man and I'm proud to fucking say that I love women and whatever, right? My heterosexuality is on display. So why do we have to have everybody tell us exactly who they want to love and who they fucking don't want to love, or, you know, how gay they are, or
how about we're just free
matter.
to love who we want to love as long as we are not harming children.
My point is, like, if we don't encourage that, that's not going to stop people from loving each other. That's not going to impede on anyone's love. The thing it is going to do is maybe not be just all a fucking topic that is just been co-opted and mainstreamed and jammed down everybody's throats and made to accept it. I already accept those people. I love those people. That's irrelevant. This is something else. This is beyond that. And what it does over the long term is normalize this kind of thing of people screaming about who they want to fuck and who they want to love in front of children. And children don't need to be thinking about this until it's time for them to be thinking about this. It's like, it's so basic and so obvious to me that it's been co-opted. It's literally in everything. I mean, since Obama, I mean,
think about all the corporations that are making so much money off of this now. And the same people who say, oh, we don't support the, like capitalism. We don't support these, all this. They rush to these stores to buy their Pride merch.
Yeah, it's a double standard in place, because if the guy with the pickup truck and the titties in the window is an asshole, then you're an asshole too for doing the same thing. So that's it. Like there's no middle ground here. I'm not hating on anyone. I don't think it has to be as fucking like in everybody's grill. It doesn't. Like, I understand that the roots of it was about explaining and showing people that it's okay for me to love fucking the same sex person. Like, I get that's where it started, but it's not there anymore. It's progressed much farther than that, because when it did start, it was a bumper sticker on a car. It was somebody wearing a t-shirt. It was somebody making a statement in a park or a speaking engagement or something, speaking out, right? Now it's everywhere.
It's in schools.
Everything. They're teaching this to the children. It's like, that's how fucking far does this have to go? Why does it have to be indoctrinated in people? That's the problem.
It's watered down now. It doesn't hold the same value to me. It doesn't hold the same meaning to me, because it's
a good thing.
Because it isn't what it used to be. And I love rainbows, and I would love to see more rainbows everywhere. But then it comes to like Pride Month, and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Like the longer that I've been in the community, the more that I've seen it just get co-opted and co-opted and co-opted. And then we have the people who are allies, and I'm like, that's not supporting us. That doesn't make me feel more comfortable if you make someone else feel uncomfortable pushing it into conservative spaces, and wanting to put it like in the public square. That doesn't make me feel like that. I feel like that's going to put more of a target on my back.
How about the fact that even this month per se, let's just look at this month and how they co-opt fucking calendars now, right? And they're like, well, this is the Black History Month and we talk about Black history and it's very important and everything is very important about this subject. Of course it is. And it should be fucking discussed all year and not limited to a month, right? The same thing with this kind of thing, because if it was discussed among adults who it affect, then
it's supposed to be a soft spot for the adults to land. It's not supposed to be an all-inclusive for minors and children and stuff like that. Like, I guess I could say, maybe like teenagers who have gone through puberty, who are, you know what I mean? Like maybe they have their own like teenager like type of thing. But this is about a sexuality. It's not just about like being inclusive anymore. Like it is well beyond.
What I was going to say was it's basically we don't need everyone screaming how legitimate they are because of their identity. It's just grandstanding nonsense, really, at the end of the day. Also, by doing so, you're taking away important time that people could be spending on what else happens in this month of June. Oh, it's Indigenous Nations Month. Did you know that? You know what I mean? No, you didn't know that, because pride has just swallowed up all the air in the room. And okay. And I mean,
it rolls in and it's divisive now. It's very divisive. And, and so I try to look at this from a nuanced perspective of, why are the conservatives that do have gay and lesbian and bi and trans people in their families, why do they not like it? Why are they so against it? So I ask that and I question that and I'm like, all right, well, what's, like what's kind of happening here? And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, no wonder that they're like screaming that. No wonder that is where the conversation is gone.
Yeah, let's tell the Indigenous people how free they are, and all the gay people how much we love them all, because it's too much. It's too much like normalization in this mainstream side of the thing.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it distracts from the laws that are going against people that. Oh. It distracts from actually working together to figure out how we can make things more inclusive for people. How can we, stand up for the rights of the people that, are part of the LGBT community, and what can we do? I don't feel that forcing it and shoving it down anyone else's throat is going to help us.
I think ultimately too,
it's gonna just cause division.
And the fact that, like Devin just said, went to a Pride event last year and was just blown away by how many children were there. When it's like, I have no problem except for it gets conflated with like your gay pride and your drags people and your trans people and like all this confusing gender stuff that is just completely normalized in front of the children, like they're just having a ball because it's all rainbows and clowns and fun, right? I mean, and
I took Skylar to Pride stuff. Completely. Like I took her to Pride stuff. Pride when Skylar was little, it was like mild. It was like,
a kinder, gentler thing.
There was like rainbow stuff there. It was like about inclusivity. Like it was just like, hey, these are like these are the people that are kind of like how mommy is, you know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't what it is now. It isn't the same Pride that I see now, where I see, adults acting inappropriate and doing sexualized acts in front of these kids. That's not how it was for me. That's never how it was. I mean, I went to Providence Pride. Like, you know, like it was not what I'm seeing now. It's completely changed.
Aggravated progressives like, I like the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I'm like, a spanking. We must have a spanking.
Yeah, I don't know, Lady Alice. She said, how many gay pride parades does it take to provide total liberation and freedom? Yeah, it's yeah, and they commercialize stuff to distract from the real shit. Yeah.
And to normalize,
they're like, go buy all the corporate shit.
It's
buy
like
that. That's how you support pride.
It's a double-edged sword, though. Like, really, I mean, the fundamental root of the thing is like, hey, look at us because we're okay. This is okay to be this way.
Of course,
and
yeah.
I'm screaming, of course it is. But now they're like, hey, it's okay for all the other shit we're saying too, because we put a bunch of more letters on there and there's a bunch of more groups attached to us and everybody thinks the same way. No fucking way. There's no possibility that's even possible. And it's amazing that the first 4 letters are sticking together. It
was LGB in the beginning, and I remember when the T was added because, you know, like I've been part of this for a while, and it was like, yeah, we're being inclusive, and then they started adding more and more to it, and like I didn't like keep up with all of it because it just I was like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, you know what I mean? Like it's like little by little things are just added on. It's like all these little extras. You know what I mean? It's like and I understand that people want to have representation and people want to feel like, you know, like they matter. Absolutely. And people matter in general, but that doesn't mean that we need to force it down other people. You know what I mean? Like that. How is this any, like, I feel like we've made it to a point where people are much more accepting. We don't have like the gay conversion stuff happening as much, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. But we didn't get these rights.
It's just dopey, Lady Alex. Absolutely.
It feels like we're going backwards. Yes. It feels like we're going backwards and we're not moving forward. It feels like this whole ideology has kind of like taken a stranglehold of all of us. And there's a bunch of us that are part of this community that are like, wait a minute here. We don't agree with this like at all. And we're getting silenced. We're getting called bigots. We're getting called like all these names.
You get called a homophobe. Like, literally.
I got called a homophobe.
it's just the most bizarre thing. Like when someone from that group offers a nuanced perspective about why some of this shit might be fucked up and how it's being, you know, fucking completely fucking corporatized and, you know, co-opted for the use of other people's fucking initiatives and narratives and things that they're fucking their goals. They're trying to do stuff. They're trying to normalize this behavior where, you know, children are just socially exposed to this kind of thing. Like it's a normal thing, even at very young ages. It's no longer like all of that outrageousness that you love when you're partying with people.
It's not like I have 2 mommies or I have 2 daddies or whatever makeup of a family that you have at home. It's no longer about that. It's beyond that.
Yes, cartoons and Disney and everybody is bought into this. It has been co-opted. Evil doers are controlling these fucking group things. And if anybody stands up and says anything contrary, like Lucky and I did today, you get lambasted by fucking insane people that have no argument. They just say you're wrong. Just the same way that, like,
people are like, I thought you were a comrade, and then they block. I've gotten blocked by.
You must be a Trumper.
Yeah, we got called Trumpers.
Somebody said you were a Trumper because not so much in those terms. They were like saying because people in the LGBTQ group are like, no, this shit's fucked up, and here's why. Because when they do that, they're behaving like Trump supporters who won't listen to reason. Like, it's just the most, like, you have to twist your head around in such a pretzel to understand the perspective. Like, and as soon as you say, all I said today on the Twitter was like, a person has to have female reproductive organs in order to become pregnant, in order to, to carry a child.
Yeah. What triggered that is because Glamour, I think it was Glamour. It might have been the wrong magazine. In the UK, put up a trans man on the cover and like, men can have babies. A pregnant trans person. That's not how it works. They're trying to rewrite like what it means. They're trying to that is an erasure of women when it comes to that. And I don't understand. Like, I put it up with a real question. Like, I really am trying to understand this. I would think that this would cause more body dysmorphia. Like, if that's what you have, if you feel that you're in, like, you know what I mean, you have the wrong body, then why would you want to have a pregnancy? That's something that is a woman's thing. And I'm not saying that they don't have the right to have a pregnancy, but if you're going to say that you're a transgender person, a trans man, and men can have babies, like that just doesn't compute for me. That doesn't work. Biologically, that doesn't happen. Men cannot have babies. And I don't know why that's a controversial take to have. Your identity and how you identify are not the same as biology. Biologically, you can be born. You can be, and we've talked about this several times. You can be born male, you can be born female, you can be born intersex.
La la.
And that seems to be something that people are really confused about. And then people want to say, like, why does it matter? Why do you talk about this? Why do you even bring that up? Because there is an agenda happening. There is an agenda that is erasing biology. That is, and if you think about it in the clinical sense, if you have a person, say they have like anorexia or bulimia, right? And they feel like they're just like a huge person, and you can look at them and you can say, no, you're fine. You know what I mean? Like you're too thin. You need to gain weight, but they feel like they see themselves as being a huge overweight person. Would you say, yeah, go get some liposuction, go take some diet pills, because that's going to affirm what you're believing. That's where things are going with this. That is where this is heading, and to have gender dysphoria, to have that is a mental health condition. It is recognized by medical professionals as a mental health. It's a mental health issue. You know what I mean? Just like if you have depression, you had anxiety, things that I deal with those things personally. I don't have body dysmorphia, but it's the same thing. And then they're telling people that they're wrong in saying that a man cannot have a baby.
How dare you say such a thing?
And then
don't you know about frogs? Frogs is asexual, man. They can have a baby, and there's a boy and a girl. What? I don't know.
I agree, Lady Alex. I haven't been reading all you guys' comments, but because I'm trying. But yeah, Devin is awesome. I talk with Devin on Twitter like all the time. We were talking today.
That's what I say too, Lady Alex. You should have heard me today cussing these people out. You would have been proud. You would have been like, Steve, you almost sound like a New Yorker right now. and wait. I've decided that now, since Leo will not stop licking my head, I am now Steve or Toady. So please refer to me as Steve or Toady. And that's my what do you call it? My preposition?
No.
No, my
I don't want to do that.
come on. Is it preposition?
You can feel that way.
My
Steve.
prepositional phrase is Steve Toady. Esteban de Frago. I will dub you an honorary New Yorker. All right. All right, then. No one should be put on HRT.
I remember you from Rockfin then.
Yep. Zabby. I remember that just because of the fact that Commander X's dog, Chris, was fucking Zabby.
Yeah, we don't
And
do
I made
Rockfin.
a picture. I made a picture of that.
Rockfin has they're a very exclusive platform. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I didn't even know that.
with the Lego Yellowhead. Yes. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
I remembered you too. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm so glad you found us over here, and I'm so glad that we're friends on Twitter.
That's right. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cancel you if you disagree with anything we say.
Oz, I have a question. Is this the same type of thing that you Oz is in Australia? So does this happen in Australia? Do you guys have like a Pride Month? Is there like a lot of like this agenda being pushed there? I'm kind of curious if this is also something, you know, like that is happening in other parts of the world.
Damn it! Now, Lady Alex disagree with me. I knew it. Knew it was gonna happen eventually. I was seriously hoping for bigger ones, Snowy, but I guess not for me. Not gonna happen. Now I'm a toad.
La la.
It's so inappropriate. I got lots of poofter friends. No, you can't say that. That's not nice. It's
What
Pride
is
Month.
Is he saying?
He's saying a derogatory
Is he
term.
saying
An Australian
inappropriate things?
some kind of inappropriate Australian misogynistic homophobic trope. Did I say tripe? That's a fish. Sorry, that's a fish dish from Sweden.
Devin said trans men are only talked about when it comes to periods, pregnancy, and abortions, never how they have to deal with men issues once they pass. Oh, I'm sure. I am sure.
They love being called old poof. No, that's only the guy from the guy who plays Merlin, right? In the
What?
no, Gandalf. I'm sorry, not Merlin.
What is happening?
Although I think he might be. I think wizards are just inherently sexually fluid, and in real life as well, because like they say there's some kind of like being able to be on both sides of the male female paradigm as a wizard.
That's it.
It increases
That's
your
it.
power.
You've destroyed my echo chamber. No.
Oh shit. Oh.
Yeah, we don't like echo chambers. You know what I mean? Like we have disagreements, and we
tell each other to fuck off all the time.
But you know what I mean? We do it in a way where, you know, we know that we can find a common ground on things, you know.
Hell yes. And shout out to Monty Python. And even though they're all a bunch of British establishment cucks, they also started the thing in the 70s, you know, like God asking him if the prince was a poof. Are you a poof? That's like, that is classic.
So I was sent,
and I don't think it's made with hate either.
I was sent this article to prove that we are not correct in what we were saying. And we were talking about how, we were talking about biology, and not just like anthropology or anything like that, but
stop saying ology on the end of every word. It's confusing me. Sorry.
Oh my God, Devin, we need to do a thing. You need to help me. We need to do something on Dylan Mulvaney. I've been like avoiding that. And like, oh, have one of the articles that you sent me to, Devin, in my list of things for tonight. So this is from what, Steve?
Nothing. I'm just griping about the avocado not being fucking ripe enough to eat.
So this is from December 25th, 2018. This is from the Pacific Standard. How human bones reveal the fallacy of biological sex binary. So this is the response that I was given from somebody who told me that, oh God, okay. They said that they were non-binary, trans, who could get pregnant. I think that just means that you're a female biologically. I was trying to understand it. They ended up blocking me.
They do that.
That's what happens when you try to actually have a conversation and they tell you that you're misgendering them by saying facts about biology. I don't know where. Maybe they got a different education than I did.
We did ask them to present us with any information. That's what that article is supposed to be.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the information. And I thought the article was interesting, and I didn't want to, not present it because I thought it was interesting. But that doesn't mean that this one article is the norm across everywhere. But I thought it was a really interesting place. I don't know. I don't want to say the word interesting again. So I'll just get to the article. So it goes into saying that she wasn't especially tall. Her testosterone levels were unusually high for a woman. She was extremely entirely female. Okay, I'm making sure it's like on the screen. I'm like, but the mid 1980s, when her chromosome results came back as XY instead of the normal XX for woman, the Spanish national team ousted hurler, Maria Jose Martinez. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Martinez. So she was ejected from the Olympic residence and deserted by her teammates, friends, and boyfriend. She lost her records and medals because of a genetic mutation that wasn't proven to give her any competitive advantage. And, it's awful that happened. Do you want to read some of this, Steve?
If you make it a little bigger, I will.
Okay, is it doing it?
Hang
on.
It's just moving a little bit so far.
I'm trying to make it bigger. Hang on.
Okay.
There
we go. It's getting bigger. Is
that better?
Yeah, just get her framed up and where I'm supposed to start. Okay. People like Martinez, Patino have been ill-served by rules that draw a hard line between the sexes. In the United States, the Trump administration looks to make things worse, according to a memo leaked to the New York Times in October. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is trying to set up a legal binary definition of sex, establishing each person as a male or female based on immutable biological traits, identifiable by or before birth. But our bodies are more complicated than that. An increasing recognition of this complexity by researchers and the public has affirmed that gender sits on a spectrum. People are more and more willing to acknowledge the reality of non-binary and transgender identities, and to support those who courageously fight for their rights in everything from all-gender bathrooms to anti-gender discrimination laws. But underlying all of this is the perception that no matter the gender a person identifies as, they have an underlying sex that they were born with. This represents a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of biological sex. Really? Science keeps showing us that sex also doesn't fit in a binary, whether it be determined by genitals, chromosomes, hormones, or bones, which are the subject of my research. The perception of a hard and fast separation between the sexes started to disintegrate during the second wave of feminism in the 1970s and 80s in the intersex traits. That behavior, body shape...
You skipped.
What?
It was in the decades that followed.
In the decades that followed, we learned that about 1.7% of babies are born with intersex traits. Okay, so 1.7% of babies. That behavior, body shape, and size overlap significantly between the sexes, and both men and women have the same circulating hormones. And that there is nothing inherently female about the X chromosome. Biological realities are complicated. People living their lives as a woman can be found, even late in life, to be XXY or XY. Skeletal studies, the field that I work in as a doctoral student in anthropology, and the history of this field show how our society's assumptions about sex can lead to profound mistakes, and how acknowledging that things are not really as binary as they make them seem to help resolve those errors. Trump and his advisors should take note.
And will he agree with some of what they're saying?
Orange man bad. If you've ever watched the television series Bones, you've heard Temperance Bones Brennan, the show's protagonist and star forensic anthropologist, call out to her colleagues whether the skeleton she's analyzing is male or female. That's because sex distinctions are very helpful to know for missing persons and archaeological sites alike. But just how easy is it to make this determination? In the 1900s, the U.S.-based anthropologist Alais, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Looks like 7 different consonants.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to.
Helped to found the modern study of human bones. He served as the first curator of physical anthropology, mainly because no one could pronounce his last name. At the U.S. National Museum, now the Smithsonian Institution, the skeletons studied were categorized as either male or female, seemingly without exception. He was not the only one who thought sex fell into 2 distinct categories that did not overlap. Scientists Fred P. Thiem and William J. Schul of the University of Michigan wrote about sexing a skeleton. Well, that sounds racy. In 1957, sex, unlike most phenotypic features in which man varies, is not continuously variable, but is expressed in a clear bimodal distribution. Identifying the sex of a skeleton relies most heavily on the pelvis. For example, females more often have a distinctive bony groove, but it depends on the general assumption that the larger or more marked traits are male, including larger skulls and sizable rough places where the muscle attaches to the bone. This idea of a distinct binary system for skeletal sex pervaded and warped the historical records for decades. Interesting. Yes, I'm sure John Kemper says they likely have a name for boning bones. I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Hi, Kitty. In 1972, Kenneth Weiss, now a professor emeritus of anthropology and genetics at the Pennsylvania State University, noticed that there were about 12% more male skeletons than females reported at an archaeological site. This seemed odd since the proportion of men to women should have been about half and half. The reason for the bias, Weiss concluded, was an irresistible temptation in many cases to call doubtful specimens male. Wow, I just almost had like a little stroke right there, I think. For example, a particularly tall, narrow-hipped woman might be mistakenly cataloged as a man. After Weiss published about this male bias, research practices began to change. In 1993, 21 years later, the aptly named Karen bone, then a master's student of the University of Texas, Knoxville, examined a more recent set and found that the bias had declined. The ratio of male to female skeletons had balanced out. In part, that might be because of better, more accurate ways of sexing skeletons. But also, when I went back through the papers Bone cited, I noticed there were more individuals categorized as indeterminate after 1972 and basically none prior. So allowing skeletons to remain unsexed or indeterminate reflects in an acceptance of the variability and overlap between the sexes. It does not necessarily mean that the skeletons classified this way are, in fact, neither male nor female, but it does mean that there is no clear or easy way to tell the difference.
Okay.
As science,
I don't understand how this proves their point.
It really doesn't. As science and social change in the 70s and 80s revealed that sex is complicated, the category of indeterminate sex individuals in skeletal research became more common and improved scientific accuracy. How did it improve it? Because some of the ones that you can't tell, they started marking it down. I guess that
doesn't mean that you can be born non-binary. Maybe
no.
It could. There's a number of factors that could cause this, but I don't understand how they think that this proves that your body can be non-binary unless you were born intersex.
For
as far as I
generations,
understand, I mean, I'm really trying to understand this.
For generations, the false perception that there are two distinct biological sexes has had many negative indirect effects. It has muddied historical archaeological records. It has caused humiliation for athletes around the globe who are closely scrutinized. In the mid-40s, female Olympic athletes went through a degrading process of having their genitals inspected to receive femininity certificates. This was replaced by chromosome testing in the late 60s and subsequently hormone testing. But instead of rooting out imposters, these tests just illustrated the complexity of human sex. It might be more convenient for the U.S. federal government to have a binary system for determining legal sex. Many U.S. laws and customs are built on this assumption. But because it's a convenient system of classification doesn't mean it's right. Some countries, such as Canada and some states in the U.S., including Oregon, now allow people to declare a non-binary gender identity on their driver's license or other identification documents.
But that's your identity. That's not the same thing as your biology.
Nope.
Why is the anthropologist conflating the two and making it like, oh, well, if you can do this on your driver's license isn't your bones.
No.
Your driver's license isn't like a determinant, you know what I mean, of anything.
If your driver's license is found,
they can put whatever they want on your driver's license.
If your driver's license is found next to you 300 years ago and you can still read it, and they
from
figure
now,
out,
you mean?
From the, and they were like, oh, well, that was a non-binary person or whatever. And then they examine your bones. They're like, well, this non-binary person was a male, or at least at some point was a male or a female, or however the case may be. It just adds more confusion.
And we're not against people identifying how they want to identify.
That's so beyond the thing. Like,
that's not what it's about. But it's the fact that people are conflating the two. This is where biology. I have a problem. Is when they're like, "Oh yeah, we're talking about these bones, but then we're going to talk about your driver's license." What? I can put someone could make a mistake on my driver's license. Does that mean that I am that? No.
They conflating what the fuck, you just said it a second ago, identity with biology. That's what's happening at all levels here. It might be more convenient for the U.S. federal government to use but I already read that. The famous case, didn't I don't know. It may be more convenient for the U.S. federal government to have a binary system for determining legal sex. Many U.S. laws and customs are built on the assumption. And yes, I read that. In a world where it is apparently debatable whether an anti-discrimination laws apply to sex or gender, it is a step in the wrong direction to be writing either one into law as a strictly binary phenomenon. The famous cases of strong, athletic, and audacious female athletes who have had their career derailed by Olympic gender tests exemplify how misguided it is to classify sex or gender as binary. These women are, like all of us, part of a sex spectrum, not a sex binary. The more we as a society recognize this, the less we will humiliate and unnecessarily scrutinize people, and the less discriminatory our world will be. Now, that's not at all factual. The fact is that biological systems, in order to have children, which was the main thing that started this whole, that was their evidence to counter what we were saying about, you have to have the certain organs to make a baby. Like you can't get around that like no matter how you identify, it doesn't change your organs. Okay. And people are just like, no, yes, it does. And here's why. And then they sent that article, which was like completely up its own ass and conflating the fucking truth about the matter. He didn't explain that there was lots of evidence showing that now, since when, right? Because they've put a third group, right? Instead of it just being male and female, there's a group in the middle that says it's undeterminate. You can't know but from the bone structure and from the other clues that they have, right? So, okay, I would agree that there are males, there are females, there are other people that are in the middle there somewhere, right? So there is a third possibility, certainly, right? But that's it. Those are your choices, boys and girls.
But if you don't have the proper reproductive organs, whether you were born, if you're born a biological female, if you don't have, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be able to reproduce and carry a fetus and have a baby. That doesn't mean that. And it doesn't make you less of one just because you don't have a child.
Right.
Or you don't, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't take away from that. But biology itself, it does matter. And the fact is that people are confusing the two, and they're not basing it on actual truths. They're just like, yeah, well, I feel this way,
and how they identify instead of actual trackable things like your biology, your actual physicality. You know what I mean? Those things shouldn't be conflated with identity, because then you're just blurring the line. And I feel like that's the agenda, is to blur the line as much as possible. Take away all these kids that want to do this kind of hormone therapy and transition. And now you're turning them all into forever customers for the medical industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does.
It's a mental thing in your own mind. When you're not happy and you're dysphoric about your body, if you have a dysphoria, that's a condition that you should be treated for. You don't like Lucky said earlier, you don't take a person who suffers from eating disorders and stuff and say, oh yeah, honey, we'll take you to the surgeon, we'll get your stomach stapled or whatever. You don't do that. You don't feed into it. And this is the opposite. They're just like encouraging it.
Yeah, like and it's not. We're not saying that to like make fun of anybody. It just makes like it doesn't make sense. It's like if my daughter came to me and said, I feel like I'm really the dog's brother, or I'm really the dog's sister, and I feel like I identify as like a dog, like Leo or something now. It's like an extreme example. But like if she said that to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, okay, well, we better, get you a collar and a leash and do that. I would think, oh, okay, something's going on. Something's wrong. Something's weird. You know what I mean? Like that's out of the ordinary. So let's examine this. I'm not going to just automatically jump on it and do an affirmation of, oh, okay, then that's how you feel. Then that means that's what that is, This article I found, it was anthropologists should stop identifying skeletons as a male or female and like according to gender activists. So this is part of the transgender activists that are that are wanting them to stop pushing for skeletons to be identified as male and female. Like, we're talking about, this is from 7/30/2022. So this is from last year.
Talking about skeletons.
So we're talking about how we're talking about skeletons.
That's so funny to me. I don't know why.
Steve is over there laughing because I'm like,
we're talking about skeletons.
we're talking about the skeletons, and like, I didn't like get like a lot of articles for tonight's topic, but I did get some, and I feel like, we should be examining this. And why would they stop? Why would they be pushing for the penalization of misgendering and criticizing medical professionals for assigning gender at birth? Now they say progressive left, which I'm realizing that there is this fraction of the left that like the far right always talks about. Yeah, I'm noticing, like, because I don't fit in that category. They want anthropologists to stop assigning gender post-mortem.
Yeah, quit telling me what kind. The skeleton sits up. Who you calling a girl? All mad and indignant.
So this is erasing actual like biology and anthropology and who people actually are. I was like a little bit thrown back by this. I was like, what? So you might know the argument that the archaeologists who find your bones one day will assign you the same gender you had as birth. So regardless of whether you transition, you can't escape your assigned sex. This person tweeted that. Emma, how do you say that last name? Palladino. A Canadian pursuing a master's degree in archaeology earlier this month. When Ms. Palladino called assigning a gender to an ancient human bullshit, according to her, there's no way for archaeologists and anthropologists to determine which gender a long dead individual identified, because there's a difference between your bones, your biology, and how you identify. They're conflating the two. There is a difference. Like, we need to keep reality. We need to stay firm in reality as to what's really happening. Like, labeling remains male or female is rarely the end goal of any excavation anyway, wrote Palladino. The bioarchaeology of the individual is what we aim for, factoring in absolutely everything we discover about a person into a nuanced and open-ended biography of their life. So this is sex, gender, and forensics. Anthropologists, including forensic anthropologists, are in fact able to tell us with a reasonable level of accuracy about the dead person's height, age, diet, place they grew up, the predominant racial ancestry, and sex. This is not guesswork either. The dimension of long bones, such as the tibia, can be used to accurately calculate the height. The chemical elements trapped in tooth enamel can tell us where the person spent most of their life based on what particles are found in local water, even for individuals that died centuries ago. And much like skin color and facial characteristics, people with origins in different parts of the world also display a subtle difference in the skeletal structure. Sex is a fairly easy thing to determine on account of differences in the skull shape, as well as the dimension of men and women's pelvises. So I always say this, you know what I mean? Like if they dig up bones, they're not going to be like, oh, well, how do these bones identify? You know what I mean? Because that is in your head, and this is just the physical, this is the evidence of what actually is factual. So determining these facts can be important to archaeologists, but in the fields of forensics, it may be a crucial way to identify victims of crimes. If, for example, DNA evidence is deteriorated, attempts to scientifically determine a dead person's sex are not an attempt to oppress trans people or ethnic groups, and they should be clear for anyone who has any common sense. And that should be clear for anyone who has common sense. That's where I feel like I don't feel like determining a dead person's sex is oppressing somebody else. It's about that person. It's about finding out what happened to them. It's about, you know what I mean? Their bones tell a story.
There's 1,000 reasons why it's okay.
Yeah. But woke gender activists care little for common sense. They do not even appear to realize that for anthropologists who aim to determine the sex of an individual, that person's idea about their own gender, which is a matter of identity, goes neither here nor there. That's exactly. Gender activists that formed the Trans Doe Task Force called for forensic experts to explore ways in which current standards in forensic human identification do a disservice to people who do not clearly fit the gender binary. See, this is where I have a problem when it's a small amount of the population trying to affect the entire population and to impose themselves onto all of us. That's not it's not okay. We propose a gender expansive approach to human identification by combating missing and unidentified databases, looking for contextual clues such as descendants wearing clothes culturally coded as a gender other than their assigned sex. The group mission statement reads, "We maintain our own database of missing and unidentified people who have determined may be transgender or gender variant, as most current database systems do not permit comparison of missing to unidentified across different binary sex categories." Okay, so that to me, those statements that they say right here, where they say descendants wearing clothing culturally coded to a gender other than their assigned sex, that seems very repressive to me. Because sometimes I wear all men's clothes, sometimes I wear all women's clothes, sometimes I wear a mix of them. I've always been very fluid with my masculinity and my femininity. And they seem to be making those very binary constructs that I don't fit into those binary constructs of saying oh, well, if they're wearing all female clothing, then they must be a female, or if they're wearing all male clothing, they must be a male. That doesn't work that way. Okay. So to go on with the article, this is all very well, and in fact, the work of such groups can be critical in helping law enforcement identify crime victims who do not fit the binary model of how the division into two sexes works. Except the vast majority of people do not fall pretty neatly into these categories. So it's hard to expect the entire field of anthropology would abandon useful tools to identify the sex of individuals just because it puts a fraction of deceased individuals at the risk of being misgendered. The purpose of groups such as Trans Doe Task Force should be to help identify victims who fall outside the binary model, not ensure that no body can be identified. I agree with what they're saying. Yeah, this group is putting things backwards. It's going to make it where people who, maybe we need to have a section in there, when it comes to missing persons, and make sure that we can say that this person may be someone that was very fluid with what they wore, or, they could be found with, male clothing or whatever, or we just like stop using that.
It's just so vague. What's male clothing? What's female clothing?
Well, male clothing is definitely different than females' clothing typically. I wear both, and
in the US maybe across the planet.
Well, males tend to be more boxy, and that's why your clothing is much more boxy, and it fits us different. Like if you try to put on a woman's shirt compared to a men's shirt, if you wore both styles of clothing, I think you would understand. But see, I do. I don't misunderstand.
I'm saying across the planet, men and women have worn the same clothes forever. It's only a recent invention that it's changed. It's very recent. Men, wearing pants and women wearing pants, and men wore fucking like tunics for centuries. You know what I mean? That's like, it's a dress. It's like, you know what I mean?
But what are kilts?
I'm just saying the line between male and female clothes is really just this fucking arbitrary nothing.
Okay, so being somebody that makes clothing, there is a difference between male and female patterns because of the body shape of the person.
Okay.
But there are some females that are shaped more like a boxy square male that fit that better.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm saying the clothes themselves, the idea that there are differences between them is completely manufactured.
No,
just like the Republicans and Democrats.
It's basically nonsense. Your body style, and like, because there are women that don't, there's women with big boobs and there's women with small boobs. There's women with like very little boob. You know what I mean? Like, so yes. it all depends
absolutely
on the
Zainab,
person.
I believe that. She's like, so if they're determining that people are transgendered just by those markers, couldn't they be misgendering people in the research also based on stereotypes? Of course.
Absolutely. Like it just seems like everything, because it is like it's like they're saying that it's about inclusivity, but they're really excluding things. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. I can't.
It's wacky business. We live in a fucking plastic fucking world. People are plastic.
Devin, women need to figure out their pant sizes. It's insane. They go by a number and not a waist size. Okay, yeah. And then also, like, say a woman's like a friggin' a size 10 in pants. That doesn't mean that it's size 10 universally across the board. You have to try them on, because not every size 10 is built the same way. It is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I once had a sweatshirt that was it was super nice. It was what do you call it? God damn it. Kangaroo. It was a kangaroo sweatshirt, a roo sweatshirt, and it was super thick. It was so nice, but I wore it for like 3 years before I realized it said it was a female's garment on the inside of the thing.
Did you care?
I didn't. I still don't care. I'm just saying it's funny because it fit me perfect. Really accented my my moobs, and it was very comfortable. It was a comfortable sweatshirt.
I had to exit. I say this a lot. Like, I had to exit would wear my skirts, like my long, flowy, like hippie skirts and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, like I didn't really trust that he would take care of them, so I didn't always want him to wear them, and it was only because of that. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Moobs, man boobs.
Man boobs. Okay, so so associate professor of the University of Kansas published Origin, a genetic history of Americans in February, where she argued that there was no neat divisions between physically or genetically male or female individuals. According to her, scientists cannot know the gender of a 9,000-year-old biologically female Peruvian hunter because they do not know whether the hunter identified as male or female. That is ridiculous. That is like such a ridiculous statement. I can't believe I even read that. Oh,
hello, mother. Hello,
but we got it. We are not an echo chamber, so we're going to look at different points of view.
If you say that again, we will be.
Again, the purpose of anthropologists are after it is not to determining a person's gender, it is to identify their biological sex. Exactly. They are absolutely conflating a person's gender and their biological sex. And like this whole like you misgendered me thing it's really getting really difficult, because for the most part, people out there in the world don't even know what that means. A lot of people don't know what that means. A lot of people in other, like, you know what I mean? Like in other countries, they don't even know what that is. That's a very modern like concept. Like, I feel like it's making victimhood. Like if somebody is purposefully like doing something that's mean, then I can see, but like,
that's not true, Aram.
What happened?
Aram said, newsflash, Lucky actually identifies as Luke. Use the force, babe.
Aram.
Saaz says, this skeleton identified as a bicycle. I can tell by the sprocket.
No, that's not how it works. Okay, so it's true that in some cultures, like in India, they in some areas that were for a long period of time under the sway of Indian culture and the Hindu religion, that a category which could be crudely called as a third gender, but assuming that in no other place on earth than a Christian Europe had people notice that boys and girls are different is a bit of a stretch. So not everybody believes it is necessary to bring down the tower of science to appease woke gender activists. San Jose State archaeology professor Elizabeth Weiss called eliminating classifications based on sex amounts to ideologically motivated fudging.
Motivated fudging? That sounds like something...
That doesn't sound like... Okay, well, that's a different topic. Wes, or is it Weiss? Is it Weiss or Wes?
It's Weiss.
Weiss?
Be nice, it's Weiss.
It's Weiss.
Say it twice.
Say it twice. It's Weiss. Okay, so there is a move among academics towards getting all of the academies flavored... What the fuck?
Ideological motivated fudging. Academy's favored shibboleths.
Okay.
It's like shibboleths.
To accord with one another. So Weiss said the recent spike in the number of people identifying as transgender suggests that the trend is social and not biological, and that retroactively desexing of long dead individuals obscures this obvious fact. Yes, I agree with that. That this is a social a social thing, and it's not a biological thing.
Yeah, it's fully social. And also, like, remembering where Yepek said in the thing, like, don't forget about people like me who have memory issues. I shouldn't be demonized for my disability when using the wrong pronouns, etc. Like,
and there's a lot of pronouns now. It's a lot that people are asking people to remember, and not everybody remembers things. And yeah, right. if you have issues with memory, or you just, you know what I mean, like, you sometimes we just misspeak.
Social anxiety and stuff, and you have to remember, oh, I don't want to call the wrong, you know what I mean? Like, that's just going to make people try to avoid a social situation because they don't want to offend or hurt anybody's feelings. And, you know, that's beautiful, but also, like, what the fuck? Can people just not be douchebags when you fucking, if you just call them by their name? You know what I mean? When did that go?
I try to use just they, and now, like, I feel like I'm gonna, like, you know, like, get attacked if I use the wrong pronouns for somebody. So I just usually say they. It's like, do they realize that they're causing the rest of, like, other people anxiety in trying to be affirmed in their, you know what I mean? Like have a little bit of understanding that people are from, you know, like, coming from different points of view, and not everybody's intention is to be offensive.
Right. That's
like,
what I mean. Unintentional or or unavoidable in the fact that if you can't remember, you know what I mean, how you that should be instantly forgiven. And I would imagine if you were friends with that person, it would be, and there would be an understanding already. But it's just like in the awkward social situation of, oh, this is my friend, so they identify as this. That there's a precursor to, like, it can't just be your friend named Patty or whatever the fuck, you know. It seems crazy to me, all this like construct that's happening right now. People are just using it for nefarious reasons at this point. I don't feel like it's a genuine way to do stuff. Like it just like you want me to remember these things when I talk to you. Otherwise, you're gonna call me a name and you're gonna think I don't like you because I forgot something. Yeah. First of all, I'm a fucking stoner, been smoking weed my whole life. I'm very apt to just be baked and just forget something. That happens.
I don't think that has anything to do with you being a stoner.
It probably has more to do with, you know, just me being a fucking.
I think that's just
cadet.
who you are.
I think
that us as humans, we have a lot of things that are overwhelming us all the time, and there's like a lot of things that we have to remember, and there's a lot of things that we have to do, and then the list is getting longer.
Yeah, the list is getting longer, and it's gets to be too much. Like today, I spent all this time like just being angry about shit that I have no control over. Like, I don't want to fucking spend my time on that. That's not what I'm after. I want to spend my time.
I spent the first day of Pride getting attacked, being called a bigot, being called a homophobe, being called transphobe, all these names. Like, that's what happens. And I'm part of this community, and I'm being called these things.
Also,
it's bullying.
Does that fluidity leave wet spots around? Because it seems like a lot of fluid going on. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Miss Wyatt, Miss Weiss also pointed to the importance of being able to identify the biological sex of a skeleton could often help dispel myths of detrimental to women. Some early anthropologists sometimes took some robust female skeletons as male skeletons, particularly in the Albut and Inuit collections. This reinforced false stereotypes that females were not as hardworking as males, she said. Over time, biological anthropologists and archaeologists worked hard to determine which traits are determined by sex, regardless of time and culture. This new policy of erasing this progress is a step back for science and women. Exactly. It is. It really does. This is bringing us back. This is like the same thing as, you know, how Pride is now co-opted and being put out there and, you know, taken up by corporations and being used as a divisive tactic. Yeah. It's doing the same thing.
It is. That's what I was trying to show before, was like the same guy that everybody says is a toxic male driving around in his 4x4 with mud flaps with hottie girls on the back is like some kind of evil, awful person because he's proud of who he is. But we're supposed to accept everyone for who they are. So that includes him too, you know? And
yeah, and I just
there
think
just seems
like,
to be less and less room.
Maybe like let's not do huge freaking Pride displays and push them on people. And how about we just like stop fucking putting balls on trucks? Like, how about we do both?
I mean, I don't care if everybody wants to have fucking whatever they want to say, hey, this is what I'm into. That's fine. But does it have to take up every friggin' town square and every fucking sidewalk and all of these things, like just be blasted in your face with giant murals and stuff? Does it have to be that? Can it just be the individual who is feeling that pride?
There's other ways to support.
To me, it's like that individual being prideful and being proud of who they are and who, you know what I mean, is totally cool. I'm down with that 100%.
Yeah, we're down with people being who they are and identifying how they want to identify.
Even if that means they're dressed head to toe in rainbow and sparkling glitter everywhere they go. That's fine. I'm down.
I may have done that before.
What I'm saying is I'm also down for the idiot who doesn't know better than to call every female he sees fucking honey or babe or whatever and be an inappropriate fucking douchebag. I'm still down with that guy because he's just different than the other guy. You know what I mean? Like, we can't just keep canceling everybody. I just don't want that.
How about we cancel the predators?
Yes. How about we cancel the people that,
you know what I mean? Like the people who are actually causing us harm. Who's causing us harm? These corporations that are pushing pride everywhere are causing us harm.
Yes.
And it's not about agreeing with the conservatives or being on their side or anything like that, or being against pride. Because again, I'm part of this community. I think it's been co-opted, and now it's like we're either gonna stop it, or we're gonna continue to let it get co-opted, and people that are like, you know, thinking that they're supporting it are just gonna continue on, and we'll just keep getting farther and farther away from it.
I blame the Wheaties box from the 70s with Bruce Jenner on it.
Oh my God. Okay, let's back to this article.
That's where it goes. It started right there.
No.
Okay,
no, let's back to this article.
Okay.
This is clearly also the case with Peruvian hunter that aforementioned. Miss Ralph wrote about a living woman in Peru 9 millennia ago could be both a woman and a hunter. Just because in many cultures, including many European cultures, hunting was mostly done by men, does not necessarily imply that this was always the case for everyone everywhere. Exactly. And it definitely does not imply that a woman who hunted identified as a man. She naturally may have, but that can hardly be considered a serious scientific problem to investigate. We're almost done. Another scholar, Jennifer Chrislam, in the University of Cambridge, argues that analysis that suggests transgender individuals played a large part in indigenous populations are often ahistorical and can even distract from the contemporary discrimination. All right, my throat got. So it can distract from the contemporary discrimination transgender individuals face within their own communities. Yeah, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
So in short, hang on, I'm almost done. In short, the obsession of woke activists to apply their vision of what the world around them is and what they believe it should look like instead to past cultures and civilizations is detrimental to science and knowledge about these ancient civilizations. And perhaps even more importantly, it is also damaging to the very people these activists claim to represent and fight for. And that is the problem that I have, is that it is damaging. It does bring us backwards. It puts us into these very binary roles of what it is to be a male or what it is to be a female.
I think it's like the inevitability when you start something good and you get some momentum behind it and people believe that it's a good thing. And by the time it gets to reach the mainstream, and we're talking about this reached the mainstream, about 25 years ago, basically, you know what I mean? It like really came into its own. It's been going 50 years solid, like strong. And now it's been co-opted by all those corporate entities. And that is what is happening right now. They're going to use it for bad things, not the good thing that it is of having pride in who you are and standing up for yourself. They're going to erase that and homogenize you with all this other group. And if you don't think the same way and say the same things, then you're ostracized immediately and smeared. And that's it. It's the same thing with everything. I don't care what the fucking group is, man. Any activism, any kind of civic thing that you get involved with, if it reaches a certain level of awareness in the group mind of a country, it's going to catch fire. And then the people with the power and the media are going to seize it, and they're going to take advantage of it and make fucking billions off of it. And they're already doing it. That's like they've been doing it now for 25 years. And just cashing in every year, just making more and more money. And again, I want to be clear. I don't think it's bad that people have pride and in themselves and who they love. That is beautiful. I'm down with that 100%. I think once something good like this gets co-opted, you have to fucking destroy it. You have to fucking do something. You can't just sit idly by as they manipulate everybody's feels for fucking profit and corrupt the minds of children. And now more than ever corrupting the bodies and fucking turning people into patients that, and people with illnesses that are not being treated and just being hurried through a system to make these crazy changes and take these terrible drugs. And it doesn't seem like that's going to stop. It's projected to make what, $5 billion? It's nuts.
So I wanted to remind everybody that it is not just Pride Month. It is National Indigenous Day as well, or month as well. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to play this. This like absolutely made me cry earlier. This is she goes by Duchess, I believe. I don't want to say it wrong, but we're friends on Twitter. Duchess. Yes. Okay, that is the right name. And she is a transgender woman who's also Indigenous, and she has a message. And she had the surgery, I believe it was 14 years ago. And I've mentioned her before. And she's having extreme pain from the surgery. And she can't get the help that she needs. She can't get the medical treatment that she needs. And I'll let her explain. It's only like a minute, so I'm gonna mute us.
Tansei. My name is Lois, and I am a sterilized First Nations person of Treaty 6, living on reserve in Alberta, and I am also a post-op transsexual of 14 years. June is more than Pride Month. It is also National Indigenous History Month. We must have our stories told, our culture shared. We must seek truth and reconciliation. And we must have honest conversations about the dark side of transition. We must talk about detransitioners and their stories. And my story, from a regretful transition to medical assistance in dying, I feel like I have contributed to the genocide of my people. I am more than a statistic. I am more than the color of my skin. I am more than your idea of what a BIPOC trans person should be. Soon I will be another dead Indian, but until then, I am here to share my story. Hi. Tansei.
So due to complications of being 14 years post-op, she has applied for MAID up in Canada.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
And that's really brave of her to talk about it and, express those things that people just seem to be like, blowing past with the stuff that we're talking about with children and stuff. It's like folks just like kind of just like shrug it off. Like
we need to talk about all of it.
Yeah,
we need to talk about it all honestly.
Yes,
because people need to be able to make informed decisions for themselves and see what's going to work for themselves and know what they're getting into and know that there might be complications down the road. I know a lot of people don't do surgeries because because of the complications. But Not every doctor is telling people about the complications. Not everybody is talking about the people that do decide to change their mind and that do regret their transition. And like now this beautiful soul is going to go to MAID and end their life medically.
Yeah.
And they will just be another statistic, and that's all they'll be.
It is enraging how doctors don't tell realistic expectations of transitioning. No, there seems to be just like this fast track. It's the new thing. It's cool. Your mom is cool with it. We're all cool with it. So don't be so depressed. Everything's going to be great when you transition, and give them this fucking Disney fairy tale fucking bullshit thing. And then when it doesn't work out that way, they're twice as miserable as they were. And chances are, if they had some kind
and
of
some people,
surgery,
it works out great for them.
Some people fucking transition perfectly, and that's the thing they needed. I'm saying, what happened to the vetting process? What happened to slow down? Whoa, hold on a second. You're not happy in your body. Let's talk about that. Let's think about why that is and try to find solutions that don't entail taking dangerous amounts of hormones and removing body parts. It seems like that part of it is the part that people are just squeamish about saying out loud, but it has to be talked about. People have to know.
And we have a nuance to it. We're just like, okay, some people it's right for, some people it's not, but they should know what they're getting into. They should know what the complications are. They should know what the side effects of some of these medications are. They should know that down the road, 14 years post-op, that you could have enough issues that you want to apply for MAID and end your life.
Right. And you shouldn't be sold snake oil by the established system of medicine, and they're doing that in places. You know what I mean? That's a scam. That's a grift. It's
heartbreaking,
and the results are human collateral damage, and that's not okay. It's not okay at all to do this to children. And everybody has to. I want everyone in the world to be as happy with themselves as they can be and learn to do that. It's taken me 57 years to fucking get here, and I'm pretty happy with myself now because I've been honest with myself and worked through lots of things and my own hangups and my own misconceptions and indoctrination and nationalist pride and all this fucking nonsense they just jam down our throats for our whole life. You know what I mean? It takes time to make informed decisions about anything. And it just seems like there's a force at work trying to normalize that thing and just make it like, oh, it's no big deal. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not a big deal, but no, it really, really is a big deal that everybody deserves the time and the compassion and the therapy and all the things, and understand all the repercussions of what could happen or what will happen, and be honest about all the symptoms and all the things that you might experience. It's just like, I wish there was more of that, and there was a system designed to be making sure that children are not just fucking zooted right through the system and end up being regretful.
And sometimes there are there are males that get turned on by wearing women's clothes.
Buck Angel is not transphobic, John, to Emily transition. That is crazy. He's not transphobic. He's a trans man. How can you be phobic of yourself? It's nonsense. That's just another catchphrase that people are just hurling around. I've been called a disgusting person today for stating that in order to make a baby, you have to have the right female organs, and deciding to identify as something else does not change that in any way. And now I'm a disgusting guy. I'm such a horrible person that I even suggested that was ludicrous. And, you get called things like transphobe, homophobe, all of these different things, which are just so far from the truth that it's ridiculous. It hardly bears repeating. It's so dumb.
Teresa, the word I used was MAID, MAID. It's medical assistance in dying is what it's called. and I've covered it quite a few times on the show. Basically, they made it where you don't even have to have if you're just a poor person, you can apply for MAID, and you can try to get them to assist you in dying. Like you don't have to have like chronic pain or something like that, or you don't have to be terminally ill. Yeah. MAID. It's the I is usually lowercase, but the M and the A and the D are uppercase.
Yeah. Buck Angel's going to be on the show on the 15th. So I'll be sure to ask him what he thinks about being called a transphobe, if he thinks he's transphobic, or if that's even a real thing to call someone who is transition. Like it just seems like, I don't know. People just seem to forget.
Buck Angel transitioned and has been on testosterone for 30 years. I don't understand how they could be a transphobic. That is what they are. Are they phobic? Right. They're scared of themselves. Well,
that's what I'm saying. And I've heard other people argue that saying transphobia does not mean the same thing. Like somehow phobia is a different connotation when used with the word trans before it. I literally had that conversation on Twitter.
I don't understand. Like the definitions for things are changing, and and then asking questions about things and trying to understand these things, you get labeled as all sorts of things.
Whatever the flavor of the day is, whatever the smear or the hurtful thing that they can say, you know what I mean? Like that's just nonsense to me. Like you're gonna call a guy who's literally transitioned 30 years ago, who lives and breathes it every single day. He's a phobic. He's phobic from himself. Does anybody else see how ludicrous that is? I mean,
Buck says that he has a mental disorder that is actually in the DSM or whatever. Like it is actually listed as a medical condition. Buck is a transsexual, which that means that the person has gone through medical procedures and gone through doctors and everything like that.
Yeah, to be the idea that the word transphobic doesn't mean what, like agoraphobic or any of the other phobias. The phobia part is the same in all of those. It's a medical condition it's a mind thing, has to do with your brain. And that doesn't change, even though you put the word trans in front of it. So I'm not sure how that works exactly, how people reason that out. I mean, I'm happy to discuss any of it with people just to understand it better, but some things are basic. Like what I said was basic as fuck. And it just brought me all kinds of hate and just outrage, and somehow I'm an asshole now.
Yeah, people came at me saying that, oh, well, now you're going to say that if a woman doesn't have they're only tied to their childbirth. I'm like, no, no, there's people that don't have, there's females that never have children. That doesn't make them less of a woman. That doesn't make any sense.
No, but saying that men who have transitioned or people who are biologically female and turn into men, that they can produce sperm and make a baby in another human is ludicrous. That people are saying these things, that's just
they have not gotten they haven't started doing uterus transplants.
No,
when they start doing actual transplants of all the reproductive organs, and then you can say that, but that's not what's happening.
That's not where we're at.
That's not where science is at. It is not there. The complication rate with surgeries is at 67%. 67% complication. That's a really, really high number. It's very experimental at this point.
Yeah.
They don't have it down. There's a lot of things in science that happens, and they go through a long process before they do have full understanding of it.
Yeah,
and that's just a case.
That's just one case, and
that's just the case. I mean, the case. Like
Devin brings up, Buck almost died because doctors didn't inform him of the dangers of biological women going on testosterone. Exactly.
It can be very dangerous. It can be very, very dangerous because it's 3 to 4 times the amount of the hormone that you have to take.
But that's what I'm saying about like the full disclosure and having, you know, a system to inform and educate a person and their family and whoever, you know what I mean? Especially if they're fucking not 18. That's just mind blowing to me that they could make that decision on their own. You know what I mean? At under 18, that's just fucked up. I'm of the opinion if the country can say you can go kill and die for your country, then you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want to yourself if that's what you want to do. But not until then. And even then, you're still really fucking young to make stupid decisions, huge decisions, life-changing, altering, you know, decisions. So that said, I still believe because of the one thing that exists that, you know, we're a fucking war culture and you can die at 18 with nobody fucking feeling too fucking bad about it in this country and they're proud of you, you know, that fucking nonsense, indoctrination, nationalist idiocy is the same kind of mentality that is working with this to try to make you feel like, oh, you're a monster if you fucking say anything against the group think or have a nuanced difference of opinion on any level.
Yeah, like we don't all have to agree here. This is not it's not a requirement that you agree with me. I'm coming at things in a very, you know what I mean, an open mind in a peaceful way because I'm not trying to impose my views on anybody else. And if anybody doesn't agree with me, we're welcome to have a conversation about that.
Absolutely. And anybody who wants to have a conversation about anything you don't agree with, that's what we should be doing as a society. Remember back in the day, I remember when I was a kid and I would watch people, adults, have articulate discussions on things that were very, very emotionally charged and heated and remain completely civil and be friends when they left. Even if they didn't agree, they both understood each other's position and that was good enough and they could move on to something else more important. Like that's how fucking shit used to run. Now it's like everybody's fuck you. You're an asshole. You're a fucking homophobe because you said this, or you're a Trumper, you know, or whatever the fucking nonsense.
Yeah, it's like we've never supported Trump in our lives, but we got compared to Trumpers today.
It doesn't end. It's just this endless fucking barrage of angry people who cannot like form entire sentences to articulate an idea or thought.
And you know, it's pretty insane to me that it's really it's much easier to get transgender affirming care than it is to just get in general medical care.
Yes, I agree with that, Teresa, as well. Loving each other is a priority. We should all be striving to accept everyone and love them. This is not about accepting people. This is about not accepting harm coming to people and not accepting wrong group think and pointing it out when it's there. That doesn't mean I don't love all of those people that gave me all that shit today, because I do. That's not going to change with one disagreement. You know what I mean?
We still care about people.
Some of the very best arguments and fights I've had with people in my life are with my best friends. And that makes our friendship stronger because we can withstand things. You're not so thin skinned. Everybody just has this like zero fucking layer of ability to fucking, you know, deflect a comment or a thought or something that somebody says at you. You could just have a random thought that somebody just takes the wrong way. And oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world. People are willing to end friendships, you know, that you establish over a couple of years. This has happened online so many times, dude. In the last couple of, you know, last few years that we've been doing this, it's just to watch people go to the wayside because they didn't agree with us, but they couldn't talk about it. Nobody fucking wants to have a discussion to understand someone else's perspective or why the conversation is misunderstood because of a missed piece of nuanced information. You know what I mean? It's just like the ability to
you get
communicate
blocked.
and evolve with people. It just seems like it's going by the wayside. Like you either agree or fuck off. Nothing else. There's no gray area anymore. Like, that was a good magazine. Remember that? Gray areas.
Meow meow. Good to see you, by the way. But you can draw a chart to show the cultural decline with the advent of the internet.
Yep. They will block you though, John. They will block everyone. It's like that's the knee-jerk reaction. You said something mean. I'm out of here.
Do you remember how crazy the body mods were in the 90s? I mean, it was insane.
Oh yeah.
Like it
People
was
have
like
horns and fangs and
they had split tongues and
they still got that. That's still
like
happening.
I know, but like they really like it was like
Gnarly.
Screw your labels and all your bullshit. Like I think it was very much a Gen X like thing.
That was like a Gen X. That was like a subversive thing that Gen X did. They, you know what I mean? They were inspired by people in the past.
And then girls were getting like boob jobs and nose jobs. It was like, I was like, what is happening?
Individuality.
Yeah, it was. And I'm okay with that. I love people being their own individual selves.
I encourage
absolutely
everyone.
But when there's a group of people saying like you all have to think the same way, Gen X, we're like, hell no. Like that's not happening. Like that's not where we're at.
Steve Wolfburgers. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope everybody's having a good Thursday evening and, isn't too overwhelmed by our pent-up rantage.
Zainab brings up a good point. Part of it is because getting your teeth fixed is a one-time thing, but transitioning is a lifetime of medical treatment. For some, it's necessary for their wellness, but risks have to be discussed. Exactly. And that's the problem. And that's like, I feel, and we've talked about this before, and Zainab's been on the show, how it seems like the far right extreme is like, like they're completely digging their heels in on one side, and then the left, it's like, I'm not like there's the activists on the left that are like, trans rights are human rights and screaming this and like, we have to do this or they're going to die. But like, there's not like a common sense, like approach to this where people are actually asking questions. And if we're letting two extremes drive the conversation and the people that are more left leaning are not talking about this, then we're letting these extremes drive this conversation.
John Kemper's like, it's okay, Steve. They can't remove their own wrenches. Teresa said the split tongue came from that V series, I think. I'm like, yeah, but that V series started like with caveman and shit. So, it's been around for a while. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I had my tongue pierced.
Not me. I never ever would do that because everybody.
I broke teeth on it too.
Everybody in my peer group had broken teeth. And I'm like, why do you guys put those in your fucking mouth if they break your teeth? Are you stupid? And then I never did it because, and plus I was always like the singer in the band. So I had to sing and I'm like, I'm going to break my teeth if I have one of those. I just know it because I'm going to be like,
well, your tongue swells up really bad. Like, you wouldn't have been able to sing with that in there. Like it would have gotten in your way. I had more of a lisp when I had my tongue ring in. Like I probably still have the hole.
Yeah, people getting their eyeballs tattooed. I know. I follow somebody on TikTok who's like a total crazy goth chick who has like black all on her where the whites are supposed to be. And then on her eyelids, it has like fire. So like when she closes her eyes, it's fire, and then when she opens them, it's black with like she has like green eyes. So she looks like a cat with fire eyelids.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
I've
looking.
never tattooed
cool aesthetic,
eyelids.
but
I've never done that.
I don't think I could do that.
But yeah, like 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 we have to have like this I mean a conversation that like we're based on the love of people, and we want what's best for people, and we don't want to control people, but we want what's best for them, and we want them to be able to make their own decisions and all of that. And we're not having those conversations a lot of the times. We're really not. And like, I feel like a more major part of the left is just like completely like, oh, we're ignoring it and it's growing. And then we have the far right, very much conservatives are, they're pushing a certain position. And it's like, we're not being, you know what I mean? We're not focused on keeping the kids safe, which is always my focus, no matter what, like across all spectrums, no matter what topic we're talking about. I'm often like, we need to protect children. We need to protect them from predators of all walks, from all backgrounds, whether it's a medical professional or a predator, like that's a sexual predator. I don't like, we need to protect the children. We need to protect generations to come.
Indeedly. Deedly do. Yeah, the old lower back tattoo, the old TS, the TS and the TNA. A lot of that in the bars I used to play.
I got a tattoo back there when I was 18.
See?
It was my first tattoo.
Makes your eyes look like ball bearings. Yes. It's like, oh, did you get your eyes carved out? They look great.
Oh my God. Yepex said someone dying the whites of their eyes, getting their eyes done.
That's hideous.
Oh,
did they try to color them with like, arsenic or something?
I wouldn't even be like, I can't even imagine like a tattoo machine like coming at my eyeball.
I don't want any part of that. I do want you to put some fucking ink on my arms though, but I don't know about
I will tattoo your body. I'm not.
I don't know
tattooing
my
your
eyeballs.
eyes. I don't feel safe about that. Like,
yeah, I'm not into it. Vicky Adams. Easier question. She said, I hate to change the subject, but what's all about this all about penis envy about? Shh, Steve, don't say it out loud. Lucky we'll get annoyed.
All right, John, you can feel how you want to feel about Buck, but we're not even talking about Buck here.
Yeah.
And if you're coming in just to like, throw that in there, like I'm going to ignore it. Like it's fine, whatever.
It's noted, duly noted. You think a man who is a trans person is a transphobe. Got it.
Yep. Yeah, that's not.
I think I'll remember to ask him.
Yeah, well, Buck Angel will be on the show on the 15th, so you're welcome to.
That's what I'm saying.
If you would like to engage in the chat and have a conversation, then you're we're not gonna
totally welcome.
Yeah. So back to what we were talking about. I found this other article, this one was provided to me today when we were talking about the different bones and how, they can identify you based upon your bones. I just found this interesting. I'm going to put this in the show notes. So if you do want to check it out, it goes on to talk about, because somebody was like, oh, well, they tried to say we didn't know what we were talking about when it came to bones. And no, we are not experts. We're not.
Well, I can roll a really good bone, bro.
Well, that's a different bone.
All right.
So
just saying.
But there are many different types of pelvis and pelvis shapes, which I wasn't aware there was this many. Did you know that, Steve? Did you know that there was all these different types?
I knew there was several. I was not privy to all the names. I think they keep them a secret mostly.
No, no, I don't.
You're not
think
supposed to know all the names of the bones in your body because then some kind of magic spell will happen. And that's right. Yep, X, you have been misled. I am not an expert.
We never claimed that.
But also, I can roll a fat bone.
So,
And if you were here, I'd smoke a bone with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you do because that's really geographical,
Okay.
like slang right there. You say smoke a bone, that somebody might get offended. Somebody might call you a something.
they might think you're talking about actual, like, you know, smoking a guy's bone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wasn't talking about that.
I know you were.
You goddamn wild assumptions.
That's what I was helping you clarify, Steve.
Thank you.
Ah.
Thank you. Because we should keep things clear for Yepex. You know, give him a second. Give him a second to catch up. He'll get it.
I love you. I love Yepex. So
I do too. I'm just kidding.
And he has the most like soothing voice.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
So this is about the Cleveland Clinic.
Damn it. Okay.
And it talks about the you know, the different common pelvic shapes and people assigned female at birth. And if you have a gynecological, oh my god,
Gynecological.
no,
Glynophysate.
no,
Glycol.
GYNECOID.
That's Yokanakaringading.
So if you're
Just sound it out. That's why you just sounded it.
You know, with my dyslexia, it's hard for me to even spell out like a word like that. Like I'll do that to Steve sometimes because like it can be like the most common word, and I'm like, I cannot say this. Can you please say this for me so I can say it? Like my dyslexia like will get me, and I'm like, oh, I can't say the word. I know what the word is, but I can't say the word. It just does not connect in my brain.
I feel you. Sometimes my brain does not connect in my brain. It's true. Sometimes it happens.
So this just this I thought this was interesting. It just talks about the different pelvis shapes and stuff that women have and how they can have certain complications and which ones are easier for vaginal delivery and which ones sometimes require like a C-section or whatever. So I'm going to leave this in the show notes and you can check it out if you want. But I just thought it was like really, you know, it was really interesting to learn about that. There were so many different pelvises. It's not that we only have like two. And, you know, like, and when they're identifying bones, what's really neat is that they can identify whether you're male or female based on like your elbow. I found that out today too. I was like, wow, your elbow can be a determinant.
Okay.
Like, that's really cool.
Does this elbow look male to you?
Here is the article that I was talking about from the Cleveland Clinic. So I will put that in with the show notes with all the other ones so that you'll be able to check it out if you want and just get some information.
Hell yeah.
All right.
I'm explaining to B.S. Adams what the penis envy is about.
Oh my God. Penis envy makes me yawn like the mushrooms.
They will make you yawn.
They make me yawn like all the time.
And you won't just get bored at the envy. You'll just be yawning.
Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa. That must suck. Tennis elbow. General meow meow. That is so funny. My son was born via C-section, and the doctor said the little fucker tried to escape the other direction.
That's what Cassidy, my son Cassidy, did. He came out backwards and breech.
Skyla had to be forced, evicted. You know. Did you know that's actually what a birth is actually an abortion?
Yeah. That's another double entendre.
It is. It's interesting because, you know what I mean? We use that term abortion and we don't realize that there's like, you know, that can also actually mean birthing.
Birthing.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That some women and their doctors decide on C-section and accommodate their schedules. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Yeah, they told me I was at more risk for a C-section because I was overdue when I was pregnant with Skyla, and we had to evict her. They gave me a drug to induce labor called Pitocin, and they didn't believe me when I said I'm going to be ready to have the baby soon because we were only like 4 hours into it. And the nurse was like, no, this is your first. And like women don't have their babies at like 4 hours. Like they don't have them that quickly. You're going to have like, you'll be in probably like 12 hours. You know, like this nurse just did not believe me. Yeah, like I'm like, then like about 10 minutes after I told her I'm going to be ready to push soon, that I was like, you better get the doctor. And guess what? Skyla was born like 20 minutes later. Yeah. She didn't want to believe me though.
Yep,
and that's the thing.
Yep, said, did they hand Skyla an eviction notice? I'm like, yeah, the sheriff showed up and everything. They had the mayor there. The mayor of Lucky's vagina came out.
There's a mayor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes your labor even more intense with the Pitocin too. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. So Devin showed me this article, and we've covered Alfred, Kinsey, like you can talk, you might understand, you might recognize Kinsey from, the show before that we've talked about him, and Dr. Money, and we talked about like the insidious things that they've done. But I wanted to give a little refresher to what's going on, because this is where the ideology of all of this comes from. Is from these guys. And in this article, there's actually a link to a documentary if you want to watch it. I was thinking about doing a watch along. If you guys are interested, you guys think we should, let me know. And maybe we could do a watch along with that. This is Alfred Kinsey and John Money, psychopathic serial sexual predators. Why couldn't I do that right? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for yawning in front of you. My insomnia has been really bad the last couple nights. It's just been atrocious. Let me add this to the screen so you know what I'm talking about. That's just such a great image right there. I just like that. Not that there's radiological training behind the fence, but it's just a really wow. Gives you some feels.
Snow is reciting limericks in this chat. Yeah, I've known a couple doula ladies.
Yeah, we have a friend that's a doula.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be forgiven for not knowing who these two people are. There's a reason you don't. These fathers of the sexual revolution from the intellectual and supposedly moral basis of modern thinking about gender and sexuality. However, if you take a look at the men behind the ideas, what you find is so repulsive, it would damage any reasonable person's adoption of them as orthodoxy. Many of these men, such as pedophile rapist Michael Foucault, is that Foucault? Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Seem to have been hell-bent on using academic theory to justify their horrifying sociopathy and his ghastly sexual expression. you want to read some of this? My brain is like.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Where are we at now? Many of these men. Is that where you were? Where were you? Why are these men important? What?
Yeah. Why are these men important?
Why are these men important? Before the 1950s, sex education was extremely controversial. Sex itself was somewhat private and taboo, mostly for understandable reasons, further than Victorian prudence. Venereal disease and unexpected pregnancy were lethal. The first lessons on sexuality were devised in 1919 communist Hungary by Georg Lukács. I don't know. Deputy Commissioner for Culture in the Provisional Bolshevik Bela Kun government, whose publicly stated mission was to remove the roadblock of religious morality.
What are you gonna stop? You're just gonna stop reading there?
That's where my thing is. Okay, I wasn't caught up all the way to you.
Oh, what is happening?
It lagged or something because that was like the last thing. Alfred Kinsey's best-selling books provided the foundation of claims that made for the sexual revolution and gay rights movements. John Money's literature provided the foundation of revolutionary thinking on sex change and gender identity. The very idea the state or the educational system should provide lessons on sexuality is the result of these people's ideas. These men are to sexuality what Joseph Mengele was to genetics. Our modern contemporary attitudes to sexuality and gender are based on the social sciences' academic laundering of these individuals' so-called groundbreaking material. Money's notions of gender roles are accepted as gospel, as is Kinsey's scale, due to political groups leveraging them as evidence for moral claims which became laws and curricula. Their ideas are celebrated and constituted as Western sex education we take for granted as part of the topic list for school children. As with all the social sciences, the corruption follows a similar modus operandi. The politicized academics started with the conclusion they wanted to reach and made sure the methodology and evidence proved it. Kinsey and Table 34, the spectrum of sexuality. Between 1948 and 1953, Alfred Kinsey, a zoologist at Indiana University, published 2 reports which are cited as evidence. Human sexuality is fluid and exists on a continuum scale. The first was composed of an interview with 5,300 men, and other, why does it say and
No.
and the other around 8,000 women. Sexual behavior in the human male, 1948, sexual behavior in the human female in 1953. Kinsey's work is cited as authoritative evidence, fucking evidence, on human sexuality, and popularized the contemporary belief people aren't necessarily born heterosexual, but vary in their disposition. His heterosexual homosexual rating scale ran from 1 to 6, from hetero to homo, and then with an additional classification of X, asexual. Excuse me. In 1949, he testified before the California General Assembly's Subcommittee on Sex Crimes, urging them to liberalize sex offense statutes. He argued specifically for granting immediate paroles to suspected child molesters and warned that societal hysteria does more to harm children than the actual molestation. Yeah, go fuck yourself. It is difficult to understand why a child, except for its cultural conditioning, should be disturbed at having its genitalia touched, or even disturbing at seeing the genitalia of other persons, or disturbed at even more specific sexual contacts. What's most disturbing is who this man was and what his intentions were. We now know, thanks to what you might call the outright harassment of him by fundamentalist Christian campaigner Dr. Judith Reisman. Despite being a controversial character herself, the evidence for Reisman's investigations are startling. That was supposed to be from, not form. Did I fall behind again?
I just scrolled down.
Okay, now I see. Dr. Miriam Grossman put it this way. When I say Kinsey was a deeply disturbed individual, it fails to capture the level of his psychopathology. I've been a psychiatrist for 30 years, and trust me, I've met some very strange people. I am not easily shocked. But when I began to read Kinsey's official biography, what can I tell you? He was, please excuse the technical jargon, a real mental case. Psychologists are saying that. Psychiatrists saying it. That's funny.
They're saying that about somebody that we base our sex ed on.
Right. Like he literally wrote the book on sex ed, and he's the one who's normalizing this fucking pedophilic fucking mentality. Kinsey was afflicted at his core. It's really small. He was a depraved human being, and his emotional illness expressed itself through his sexuality. He was consumed by a grotesque, debilitating obsession with a wide range of abnormal behaviors. I'll spare you the details, but I doubt very much that in all the 62 years of Kinsey's miserable life, he knew even one day of what would consider healthy sexuality. The New York Times questioned his character extensively. If the field of sex studies owes its existence to Kinsey, the field of Kinsey studies owes its existence to James H. Jones, whose Alfred C. Kinsey, A Public-Private Life appeared in 1997, and Jonathan Gawthorne Hardy, who published Sex, the Measure of All Things, The Life of Alfred C. Kinsey in 1998. Mr. Jones's book revealed that Kinsey had affairs with men, encouraged open marriages among his staff, stimulated himself with urethral insertion and ropes, and filmed his sex in his attic.
Yikes.
Gross. And another article is more explicit, quoting a documentary. He described Kinsey circumcised himself with a pocket knife without anesthesia.
What?
He encouraged his staff to have orgies with each other, but warned them that they'd become desensitized due to the constant sexual activity, visual stimulation. He hired a film technician to tape his staff and other volunteers in scientific, quote-unquote, porn films. His book legitimized every form of sexuality, including bestiality. Where it truly gets dark is McKinsey's frenzied encouragement to a 63-year-old pedophile, Rex King, whom he documented 17 hours of sex crimes. Like this fucking scumbag, dude. Jesus. Kinsey published much of King's data and sexual behavior in the human male, where tables summarize King's attempts to bring to orgasm boys between the ages of 2 months and 15 years. In some cases, over a period as long as 24 hours, Kinsey attributed the data not to one source, but to many. But in 1995, John Bancroft, who was the director of the Kinsey Institute until this spring, discovered that all the data came from King. Kinsey's response to King about his documentation of young children's tears and convulsions while being raped as evidence of orgasm.
That is horrific.
Okay. I commend you on the research spirit, which has led you to collect data over these many years. Reisman's mantle was taken up by journalist Carolina Vidakovic-Christo, a Croatian immigrant to Canada, angered by sexual education being adopted in her homeland. As the debate over sex education was heating up in Croatia, a country where 86% of its population identifies as Catholic, Vidakovic-Christo found herself watching the Kinsey syndrome and Kinsey pedophiles documentaries, exposing the horrors of Kinsey's research. These horrors included Kinsey paying pedophiles to rape children and time it with a stopwatch.
That's horrific.
It begs belief that what this man was allowed to do, according to Kinsey's books, his published research, and the statements of his assistants in various interviews, was not only Kinsey's research flawed, but it was also criminal. Obviously, child sexuality research data was collected from the personal logs of several pedophiles. One in particular kept detailed diaries of over 800 sexual encounters with children, and even with babies as young as 2 months old. Kinsey also collected data and frantically
Financially
compensated fathers who were sexually abusing their own children. He even collaborated with the infamous Nazi pedophile Dr. Fritz von Balsack, who diarized his sexual abuse of hundreds of pre-adolescent girls and boys. At the trial of von Balsack, the judge criticized Kinsey for not having reported these crimes to police. Yeah, how about his own fucking crimes? Scumbag.
This is insane. Like, and this is what this is a person. These are the people that have decided what sex ed is, and that what, you know, like they say the West, you know what I mean? Like
what's normal and what's not.
Yeah, these are who is deciding it. These people did not protect children, and they're the ones who decided it.
Right.
And these are also the same doctors that came up, like Dr. Money came up with the trans.
No, it's fucking horrible. I can't read any more of that. It's terrible.
Yeah.
We'll put the links in the description for people who want to punish themselves later. It's just fucking masochistic how fucking gross that is. Like, oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that everybody screaming, I'm a disgusting person because I said what I said earlier about female organs are the ones that you need to make a baby. And, you know, in cooperation with a male, and you can't do it no matter how you identify, unless you have those organs, you're not going to do it. So me saying that makes me disgusting, but you're basing all of your fucking ideology on this piece of shit. These fucking horrendous men that fucking made these laws and fucking normalized all this like unbelievably grotesque behavior. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getback said that you should link the article to the people calling you disgusting.
Yeah. I definitely, you know, those people definitely need some kind of fucking wake up, man. Some kind of awareness. Like you're basing all of your feels on this. What this depraved fucking person said was normal. It's crazy. How about the fact that you can't ever know all of the things that we base our fucking belief systems on weren't constructed by some malicious, malevolent fucking douchebag who was completely craven and fucking out of their fucking minds and just, you know what I mean? Like they took just to write the Declaration of Independence and that in itself, they stole an existing work and then bastardized it to suit them, right? They took what the indigenous tribes already had for fucking hundreds of years and had hundreds of years of peace with minor fucking things happening, you know what I mean? And then they fucking altered that and made us all just lick that boot. This is the boot of democracy. You believe this without fail, no matter what anybody ever says about your country. These are the facts. This is the greatest document that ever was constructed. And you have to put all your faith in all of that. Never mind who could have fucking had their hand in it. What kind of fucking, you know what I mean? You have no way of knowing, but we base all our beliefs on what we're fucking indoctrinated into.
And this isn't long ago.
No.
This is in the beginning of it, like 1948 and 1953 is when he published his books. We're not talking
like everybody embracing this fucking
this isn't that long ago
freak in the 50s like that. That's fucking hideous. And now that's the gospel. Does it make anybody else wonder about other things that are considered gospel that everybody seems to fucking follow without fucking question? Like, come on,
we should be questioning everything.
Question everything.
We should be questioning absolutely everything and not listening to people who tell us things without evidence, without based on things. If somebody refers you to somebody else's opinion on a subject as the answer,
as the evidence for your
evidence, then you are participating in an echo chamber and you're likely being gaslit.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's being gaslit. Like, do you think anybody that we talk to, right, no matter what side of this they're on or how they consider any aspect of it, if they were told to read those fucking paragraphs I just read about this man that fucking invented the ideals that you fucking believe so fucking soundly, do you think anybody in their right mind would be like, yeah, he's right though? No, because that's fucked up, because he's not right. It's gross. And I'd hope to think that all of those people, or goddamn most of them, would be like, yeah, that's really fucked up. I didn't know that, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because people don't fucking know. They just know what they're told. They never investigate past a fucking headline, ever. That's how the MSM works. That's how the system keeps everybody on the edge of their seat for their entire fucking life. It's the most important election of our lifetime again. Everybody get ready. Get ready. It's fucking 17 months away. What the fuck? Shut up.
Zainab said, this used to be taught as unethical human research. Kinsey was a benchmark of the worst practices.
Yes.
So it does kind of blow my name now that he's been touted sometimes as a expert in sexuality. Yeah, Dr. Kinsey and Dr. Money. Imagine your name is Dr. Money and you came up with trans ideology.
Yeah, that's
got to be experimented on children.
That has to be a hip hop song by the end of the year. I mean, come on, that's too fucking money, right? It's fucking money. Everybody's making money.
It just shows how fucked up this shit is, and why we need to question it, and why we need to like just not accept it at face value. And people who are ignoring it are doing a disservice.
Maps is trending on Twitter just from one tweet. You know, that really kind of pisses me off, because Maps is minor attracted person. Yeah, well, it is now. It used to be the fucking, the fucking the psychedelic research fucking people. It was the people. Well, it's MAP, yeah. Yeah. M period, A period, P period, S period. Yeah. Psychedelic research fucking people, and they're awesome. And it's sad that their name is the same as that. Oh, in public school, they're trying to teach abstinence? Really? Yeah, I really feel like they're just trying to, like, the greater goal of the people that we never see or interact with and that control all the things all the time are systematically trying to eliminate as many humans as possible, whatever means necessary. Like, you know what I mean? As much as can. And they're kind of fought with the anti-abortion people, like kind of pushing back on it. But ultimately they're more successful than they've ever been in people dying from cancer and people just, every other kind of ailment. Ever since the boop-de-boops, everybody's fucking dropping dead. There's, it's just more and more and more and more and more. They're really, I think they're hitting their stride with, General Meow Meow, absolutely. The eugenic plan. I think they're bringing it down into, what is it? Like people argue, oh, well, we need a more manageable planet. We need less people because there's too many people. Yeah. It's just too many people. That's what it is. It's not anything else. It's just too many people, right? General Meow Meow said rebranding works even for pedos. Yeah, like, it's pretty insane.
It's pretty insane. I get attacked on for putting together public information about Scott Ritter into a documentary.
Salty.
I get attacked for exposing a public figure with public information, publicly available information, and putting it all together. I get attacked. Other people have gotten attacked.
Because you're a troublemaker. What are we?
We're
What are we again?
no.
No? Are you kidding
not
me?
right. Stop. No, I don't want anything right now.
Oh.
I'm in the middle of doing a live stream, Steve.
Really?
Stop.
I hadn't noticed. Gosh, here I thought we were just.
Oh, they threw a gender ideology in there too. Oh my gosh. I would love to see what they're trying to, if you can get a hold of the curriculum, I would love to see what they're trying to push on the kids.
Well, they're already doing that, right?
I know, but I'm talking to Lala because she's saying
right
that they had to do something and they were doing stuff in the school, and I would like to, if she had a way to get a hold of that, I would love to see directly from a school, what they're pushing. Like, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, if I'm just like, I don't want to just contact schools and be like, hey, yeah, can I see what you're like I'm just really curious to find out like what they're trying to push and the different areas in schools.
Yeah. As far as the Ritter thing, it's the fact that he's never been real about it and honest and upfront and remorseful or anything. He's just like, I was set up, and everybody's like, he was set up.
Yeah. Everyone says that he was set up without any evidence. Like, the man has admitted that he did it himself. He was caught 3 times in 2 different states.
We presented the information that was publicly available to everyone to disprove what he's saying. He acted like he was set up by some, secret fucking CIA people or whatever. Like, no, that's not at all fucking true. And if you say so, then you're a Fed. Like, yeah, because I obviously I'm a Fed. Look at me. Come on. They let us in, because it makes perfect sense that I would be.
I looked into the Ritter thing, and I don't know that, like, I don't call him a pedophile, because that is a very specific, like, attraction to minor people. That is what the MAPS is. But so I don't call him that. I do. He is a convicted sex predator. He is on a sex offender list. Yeah. And Yepex has been blacklisted, just like I am, for criticizing Scott Ritter. And so INN and Tara Reid all came after Yepex the same way that they have with me as well.
Yeah.
And Tara Reid blocked me.
Which is this
over the Scott Ritter documentary. He didn't talk to me.
It seems ludicrous that you would, like, we believed her without question. We don't believe Scott Ritter because he's lying, and there's plenty of evidence.
I believe Tara Reid based on the evidence that that provided, and there's a much bigger mountain of evidence that proves that Scott Ritter has been convicted. He was caught 3 times trying to pick up what he thought was a 15 and a 14-year-old the first 2 times, and then the third case where they did convict him, and he went out in front of a jury and he had to testify, and I looked at the transcripts of some of that testimony.
It's pretty gross,
and it's really gross. And he was convicted that time, and he was sent to jail and had to register as a sex offender afterwards as well.
It's just like, the thing is,
and he's admitted to doing it.
He can't pretend like it was a big setup job when he actually did the things. Like, he literally was seeking out young girls, and he literally spanked his Johnson on camera for them. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a made up thing that like, oh, the CIA got
and it's
him,
and people will often say
Bullshit.
it's entrapment. The thing is that argument is completely debunked in our documentary. It's not considered entrapment because they don't go to your house. That would be like if the cops brought they sent a prostitute to your house and then you use that prostitute and then they were like, oh yeah, see, we got you. That would be entrapment. But when
he was seeking out
when the predator actually approaches the person that is either like there's To Catch a Predator people that are doing it all over YouTube and Rumble. If you look that kind of thing up, there are people like just vigilantes doing it and then handing the predators over to the police. And there's never a minor involved, and these people are getting arrested. The same exact thing happened
because it's intent,
and it protects actual children from being the ones that are contacted.
Right. You
have to remember that
with
like
policemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's important to think about, is that if it wasn't a cop or if it wasn't somebody that's just doing that To Catch a Predator thing, then it could be a child. And we don't know if they've been involved with meeting other children or doing the same thing with actual minors online. We don't know, but we do know that they were caught 3 times when it comes to Ritter.
Yeah, I don't believe it's like good practice to take the word of someone who is disingenuous about a major thing like this. You know what I'm saying? Like if he was like outward about it and just was like, yeah, this happened, I put it all behind me and I want to assure people that, I appreciate your support because I'm, ever fucking sorry for, whatever, just some kind of fucking relatable thing for other humans to go, well, this guy did do something kind of gross, and that's kind of gross. I'm glad nobody was hurt from it, and he's getting the help he needs, and he seems like a good guy, and so on and so forth. But no, that is not Scott Ritter. He's
not being honest about it.
He's a really machismo fucking big dude who's just always been large and in charge, and that's his personality. And he's not remorseful. He doesn't give a fuck. He thinks the only thing, anything like that should be between him and his wife, and that's it.
Yeah. If you actually watch the whole documentary, you'll understand that. And I actually don't agree with his take on what's happening in Russia either. He's been wrong a bunch. Like, he's been really wrong. He keeps saying, oh yeah, it will be like 4 days and then like it will be done. Really?
He's gotten it wrong.
Yeah, and I've been gaslit by all kinds of people that call themselves journalists about this. Journalists and people who actually, people who sit behind a news desk have told me that this person didn't do what they admitted they did. And, so who's gaslighting
and
me?
That we shouldn't even bother investigating it any further because they already did a deep dive and sorted it all out. That's what just about verbatim what was told to us.
Yep.
And instead of that, we were like, why are they telling us just to not look? That just makes me want to look more. So
and Tara Reid absolutely defends him, John Kemper. Defends Scott Ritter. And she's also turned her back on sexual assault survivors.
Yeah.
Yep. I expressed things that happened to me with her, DM'd with her, and the Scott Ritter thing came out, and like she just completely blocked me, and all these people are like,
like people just want to have access to him and are willing to
imagine that access journalism for like for a predator.
Oh, and guess what?
There's other people.
There's other people who do the same exact kind of thing.
He's not the end all be all. We're not saying that the guy needs to be like canceled.
No.
But hello, do you have to platform the dude?
A little bit of honesty from him could fucking meet the thing halfway, but there's none of that. And there's no honesty from anybody else that you present them information to. You get smeared and blacklisted.
Yep. Go ahead and ask.
Go ahead and ask anybody.
Go ask anybody in indie media in this echo chamber that has Scott Ritter on. Go ahead and ask him.
Yeah, and there's dozens of people that he's on the shows of all the
You
time.
might get blocked by them.
You probably will get blocked if you say, well, have you seen Lucky's documentary?
Or if you ask them why they all blocked me, they'll probably block you.
That seems to be the trigger. Like at first we thought it was just like, it was just weird. It was just a weird.
I just kept hearing things about him, and I'm like, what is happening?
Did you hear that about Scott Ritter? Really? Is he that guy? Or did he really get set up? The CIA, a bunch of fucking nasty motherfuckers. They do shit like this all the time. And then you look into it and you're like, oh, no, this doesn't coincide with the time of the war and the reasoning and all the stuff that he's presented.
The first
as
two
the
times
for it.
He was caught, it was 2001. 2001. That doesn't fit with the timeline of saying that it was during the Iraq
children
War.
is about the worst, Gray Walker. It's not just a fucking incidental thing. And that's not even the point. The point is that when you are that person and you get caught and you go to fucking prison and then you get out and you're the darling of the fucking indie media because your fucking take on Russia is so strong and nobody ever says anything about that, and you deny doing anything wrong over and over on different people's shows instead of being honest about it. That's the thing that matters, because I don't trust him to fucking tell me what his take is, because I don't trust his take because he's full of shit. So that's the thing. And that's the only reason that we fucking even bothered saying this to people, because we were gaslit that it wasn't a big deal and that we shouldn't bother looking into it. But I'm here to tell you, it is a big deal, and it's fucking wrong. And
it's a big deal because it's a cover up. It's a cover up.
It is. It's like this is how people get away with shit, and how bad behavior is normalized. Look at Biden. Look at fucking Tara Reid and happened to Biden. All of these things are just fucking shined and glossed over. People don't want to look at them. And sorry, not sorry. If you're going to fucking be disingenuous, I'm going to fucking call you on it. Because I'm going to try to be as honest about everything as I can, no matter how fucking unflattering. Doesn't matter. Be honest, because people appreciate that, and people will fucking trust you. People will support you more because they know that you're being honest. He's not being honest about it, though.
He's not. And he contradicts himself constantly. And that's it. It's in the documentary. If you watch it, you'll know. Like, you know what I mean? Most people that actually watch it are like, oh.
He just contradicts himself as he says things.
We didn't put our opinions in there.
Right.
Okay.
I'm telling you my opinion now because it doesn't matter. We already made the documentary. You can think what you want. You don't have to fucking like my opinion on it or Lucky's opinion on it.
And all of the research, my research links, it is all of them are available under the documentary, including the most recent court cases. As most recent, he's trying to get it. He's trying to still fight this case as recent as February 14th of 2023. We can't have restorative justice without accountability. Yeah, and he says he takes no accountability for it. He'll admit that he does it. And I know people that have watched his videos where he's defending it, and they're like, yeah, you know who makes me believe that he did it was himself. Right. It was him. It's his behavior. It's his body language. It's how he's acting.
If you watch like his, parts of the interviews that we've used from Laurie Spencer, you see him contradict himself. You see his weird fucking he's trying to deceive people.
There's somebody that calls that does a call-in thing that is a fan of his, and wants to have the guy over for dinner, and he's like, what do I, and I ask people all the time, where's the evidence that he was set up? Where's the evidence that he didn't do it? Because I have a whole pile of evidence that shows that he tried to pick up a 14 and a 16-year-old in 2001. He got twice on two different occasions. He got the assistant district attorney that decided not to prosecute him, got fired. Why did this woman get fired? From the DA. The DA fired because of how she handled that case and how she let him off. Okay. And then the guy gets caught again in a completely different state. Three different times in small town cops. And you're going to tell me that this is like a CIA thing? Oh my God. You know what I mean? It's not CIA. Yeah, I doubt it. You know what I mean? And
highly unlikely.
And that time it's actually on video, and there's testimony and there's transcripts that I read that are all available in the show notes that show that some of the back and forth between them that I didn't even put in the documentary, but I put the links below in case people really wanted to read it, because it's gross.
Yeah.
It's gross. And that person over and over again says, yeah, I'm 15 years old. And he masturbated on a webcam.
After being told several times that the girl was underage.
Yeah.
And his argument is like, oh no, well, everybody in the Yahoo chat has to be 18. So no harm, no foul. And that's his position to this day. He thinks he did nothing wrong. You can't understand the concept that you were trying to fucking seek out a young girl. Whether she was a young girl or not is irrelevant. That's what you're fucking trying to do. That's who you are. And that's who he is. And anybody who doesn't think so is either naive or just uninformed.
Yeah, and I don't think that they are journalists anymore. I don't call them journalists anymore, and I don't watch all these indie media shows because the echo chamber is fucking awful. And last time I talked about this, X was like, all right, well, I'm going to reach out to these people. And X made a short little clip on it. It's on Twitter. And they blocked him and attacked him for asking questions.
Yeah, that is funny as hell. X was referred to a video of Scott on Lori Spencer to explain as evidence to explain why he's innocent. So Scott Ritter's going to explain to you exactly why he's innocent, and that's the evidence of he is innocent and he was set up. And
we used some of her clips actually in the documentary.
It's hilarious.
We linked her.
It's pretty funny.
We linked it to her. Like, we gave her credit, and I actually credited the documentary to the people, I gave them credit, the people who gaslit me.
Yeah.
Into making me look into it.
Yeah, because that was helpful. It really kind of sparked us into getting off our asses and be like, you know what? I'm sick of fucking people telling me not to fucking look at this and see it.
So I did research for a long period of time.
Save up for his own island. He has friends. Island boy. I was also thinking the fact that.
Okay, really, Oz? So Ritter is being platformed to present his sexual kinks. I never saw that. Can you please supply a link? Come on. I don't like Ritter applying his kinks to the rest of him is false. Come to me. No.
How is that false?
That's
him being a liar about it, Oz, is the problem.
He's lying about that thing, but you're going to trust him on something else?
You're going to trust him on everything else because he has a kink? No.
And it's not a kink.
No.
To try to lure 14, 15, and a 16-year-old.
It's not a socially accepted kink. It is a kink by definition.
By definition, yeah. But that is not.
But the fact
acceptable thing.
I thought I was pretty clear about that. That's the only reason we fucking say anything about that guy is because if you ask him, or if anyone asks him, he's lying. He's straight up fucking lying and disingenuous. And I'm not going to trust him about anything else. Because if he can lie about that, he can lie about everything, right? So fuck that guy. And I don't give a fuck who doesn't like it, including you, Oz. All respect. But I don't give a fuck.
Seriously?
Everyone does lie.
So if he's lying about one thing, you trust him on the other, though. That's your choice.
That is totally everybody's choice. If you think he's a good guy, fucking have at it, man. We're just trying to make you aware of the fact that he is duplicitous as fuck. And, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to believe anything that we've said. You can, cancel us for having an opinion about it, whatever the fucking protocol is. At this point, I've come to the realization that none of the people,
Oz, you're gonna say this to us? Why are you so focused on his history?
Who the fuck is a good guy? I'm not saying anybody has to be a good guy. I'm saying, how about you fucking tell the truth?
Why are you so amped up saying you don't like this guy, but you're like questioning us?
Yeah. No.
Why is that?
Go question Scott Ritter if you have questions, because I've already answered all the questions that I think are pertinent.
I don't understand because I was gaslit. Because I'm a sexual assault survivor. Because I was targeted as a young girl by older men. That's why. That's why it matters.
Because it affects her. It affects people. You know, things affect people.
Because I have a daughter, and if I knew that there was somebody out there trying to be a predator picking up young girls, I would want to know. And if someone's lying about something like that, the evidence is there, and everybody in indie media is just like completely fucking gaslighting people about it, that's bullshit.
Yeah, fuck that.
I don't care.
And again, fuck anybody who doesn't like it, because that's the way it fucking is. You know, that's it.
I'm not asking anyone to replace my opinion with their own. I'm just asking that, you know, maybe look at the evidence with an open mind.
Yeah. And certain things are certainly forgivable. People fucking tell fucking lies constantly. That's not going to make me fucking cancel the guy. I'm saying you're lying about this, bro. What else are you fucking not telling me? That's all. If you can lie about something that big and that like right in the face of everybody, it's totally public fucking knowledge, but then you fucking vehemently deny it, that makes you an asshole. And I'm going to call you an asshole because you're fucking being an asshole. That's all. There's really nothing more than that. It's not a personal thing for me. Like you know, I'm a fucking victim of fucking sexual abuse too, but I don't get into all of that. I don't tell everybody fucking what the fuck happened to me. But believe me when I say I'm passionate about pointing this person out, because everybody puts so much stock in what he says, and he has such a large fucking group of people that he's affecting with things that are questionable. You know what I mean? Even if his motives are completely pure to tell you the truth about everything else but his past and his fucking his sexual fucking preference.
Community.
It's not okay.
He's not a threat to this community. Like he's a threat to the people that actually listen to these people. If you're being gaslit about Ritter, what else are you being gaslit about?
Exactly.
You're gonna trust that echo chamber?
Yeah.
That's on you.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you to question things. Don't just believe what you're told.
Question me too. Yep.
Question me. Go look at all the research that I did and all that time that I put into it with an open mind.
That's what we want. That is what we want. We want people to stop making excuses for fucking bad behavior. Yeah,
there's a lot of predators out there. Yeah, there is. Yeah, Caleb Maupin. I've looked at that stuff too, and I don't know the people personally, but I know people that do know them, and you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I don't think so. Like, I think that we need to keep
tabs on the fucking ones we.
Yeah, like when people are showing you who they are, don't ignore them.
That's it. Defending those people helps no one. And really, that's always, you know, having these feelings about this kind of stuff is always going to put us at odds with somebody. And you know what I mean? If that's what it does, then so be it, because it's important enough to us that we fucking took the time to do it. And again, you don't have to believe anything. Please just make up your own mind about it. If it's something that you don't think is a fucking big deal, that's your own fucking thing. And I don't give a fuck. But I don't give a fuck if it makes you outraged that I fucking, you know, had a hand in fucking pointing out the fucking grossness of this other person who's like trying to deceive people on a large scale. It's not just like a guy lying to his buddies to fucking not get fucking picked on. This is like thousands and thousands of people that we're talking about. You know what I mean? That he reaches.
Yeah,
daily.
He reaches a lot of people.
It's
if you go look him up on YouTube or Rumble and go see how many freaking channels are hosting him. It's not just the people on the left that most of us are aware of. He is reaching a very large audience.
Well, the fact is, like Zainab said, people just look past things so that they can continue supporting them. And that's what happens. And I understand that.
And it's normalizing predator behavior. It's normalizing, like, making excuses for it. It's normalizing acting as though this is okay.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing as, like, you know, like what all this ideology that we've been talking about.
Yeah,
about Dr. Kinsey and Dr. Money, like, that matters too. Well, why are we not why does that, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's not an issue, but it's okay. But it's an issue if we talk about Ritter.
It's socially acceptable because those guys are dead and gone now, but they were fucking probably 10 times worse than Ritter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wrong is wrong no matter when or who does it. If it's not right, you have to
he's not the only expert on weapons. He's not the only expert on what's happening. And he's been wrong a bunch of times. If you look at any of, like, his predictions at the beginning of the Ukraine war, and you look at what's happening now, his predictions haven't come they have not happened. He said it would be over in like 4 days.
I don't think people should support sexual predators.
Yeah, and
you know, like
you can agree with what he thinks about the war. It doesn't matter.
Everybody in this whole country has fucking supported sexual predators.
Look who our fucking presidents have been.
Years. Look who Bill Clinton. Fucking, are you kidding me? That guy's been fucking getting more tail than anybody before he got into the governor's office. That guy is like the epitome of a predator, and he's all friends with all the fucking predators, and the CIA run that predator game. And that's why it's so easy to hide a predator, because they say, oh, well, the CIA set him up. Like, fuck you. The CIA is fucking
in on it.
They are rife with fucking predators. They like that. That's something that they can use against you. And that's it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, when a local town cops fucking get this guy 3 times in 2 different states over the course of a long period of time, you can tell that it's a habitual thing. He does this. This is the thing that he does. And for him to act like he did nothing wrong and then still be platformed by everyone is just supporting a predator. I don't support fucking predators. I don't support Joe Biden. I don't support Donald Trump. I don't support fucking Bill Clinton. I don't support anybody, Jeffrey Epstein. I don't support anybody
who
harms fucking children, and people just like, I'll just forget about it. It's fine. Yeah. I could still vote for him.
General Meow Meow said they caught Scott in the same operation they used Epstein for. They'll scream to have those names from the book and the people brought to justice and ostracized, but they'll leave their own alone.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The Epstein was one of theirs, and he still got shit on because he was so depraved. And he fucked over somebody and got fucking caught up in the mix. Scott Ritter was being a predator on his own. And he gets to use that fucking juxtaposition of the CIA and his position as a weapons inspector person as some kind of deflection. He's protected, certainly, but he's also like, he can't get out of doing that. He did that thing. He did the fucking crime. He went to fucking prison. And now he gets to say, well, you can't believe that because the CIA and reasons.
Exactly.
With no evidence. Nobody has ever said, well, have you ever seen this document that completely exonerates Scott Ritter from ever doing anything wrong? And it was a CIA fucking plan and they had an operation.
Everyone claims that he was set up without any evidence.
Right.
But there's a mountain of evidence to prove that he actually did do the things, and he actually does admit to doing them.
Yeah. That's the difference. That's what I'm trying to explain, is the fact that people have just mixed up the fact that, yes, the CIA does all these dirty tricks that Scott is trying to say were used against him, but he painted himself into that fucking picture.
Yeah, instead of like looking at us as to why we would cover that and why we would put that information together, maybe you're questioning the wrong person. Maybe you should think about why others are blacklisting and blocking over us providing factual information.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a perspective to look at.
That's a little more sus than two hippies in their fucking apartment getting gaslit by everybody in the indie media not to look at this guy who obviously did the fucking thing. I mean, it's common sense.
And then people will say, oh, well, he did his time. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay.
Agreed.
So
I agree with that.
He did the time. Does that mean that he has to be platformed? No. And then Zainab said here that the same thing people say about the person that assaulted me, meaning her, in order to keep them in the limelight and excuse him and keep supporting him. It's wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah, that's the thing, is that there is repeat behavior of this happening. The same thing keeps happening over and over again. And if people keep accepting it and keep accepting it and keep accepting it, what does that do? That fucking normalizes it.
Yep. And that's
it normalizes predators in these activism spaces. It normalizes predators being, just believed. So what deters them from being a predator then? If they're going to get fucking platformed anyway, and they're just going to get fucking defended anyway.
And everybody should just trust what they say.
So yeah, we'll just celebrate the predators, apparently.
It's just that we'll have Predator Month. July will be Predator Month, and you can support all your favorite fucking, scumbags who have fucking traumatically scarred fucking children for fucking centuries. It's not like it's a new thing at all.
Yeah, pedophilia is a very specific, it's prepubescent. So it's whatever, pre-puberty, right? Because everyone gets that at a different age. There's not one specific age.
Scott's not a pedophile.
Well, as far as we know, we're not accusing him of being that.
He hasn't been convicted of any sort of pedophile crime or child porn crime, even no matter how much he goes on and on about how he was trying to give his computer to the court and it was never fucking subpoenaed. They
didn't need his computer because they had the video evidence of him doing it.
Right. They didn't need a computer.
It is against the law to even solicit a minor online. That is against the law.
And that was his intent.
Adults do not get to solicit a minor online. Look up To Catch a Predator and look at that. Go look. There's people that do these catching predators, catching things like right now. If you look up on YouTube, that's like there's all kinds of channels that are doing this currently. Zainab, don't ever apologize for being so passionate. Sorry to be so passionate, but once you've been abused by someone who is in a spotlight and people accuse them and silence you because of the bigger picture, is messed up. Yeah. Like how is protecting, you know what I mean? Like somebody who is a predator. How is that like honoring society or women or children or anybody? Like that is just that's low. If that's who is more important to you, it's more important to you to protect a predator for access journalism or access to views on your channel. Go for it.
I'm not.
I know.
I'm not.
That. I know that if I decided to, start covering the same things that everyone else is covering and be part of that echo chamber, that I could have a lot more views on my stream. I know that.
Right. Oh yeah. If we were just go-alongs to get alongs, we would be going along. We probably have 20,000 subscribers by now. But the fact is, we're going to get the people who fucking give a fuck if we're telling the truth or not. That's really the fundamental thing we tried to do, is be inclusive to everyone and give everyone the opportunity to figure out, are they telling the truth? Are they providing us with information and ways to at least come to a fucking informed decision about what they're saying? That's what we aim to do. And sometimes we fail miserably, but other times we do it well. And we also try to, just take in as many different viewpoints about a topic before even broaching it. And that's why it took us so long to even do the Ritter thing, was because it took a long time to get all the perspective that you can and get all the information that you can. And I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about it, was if there were people who were like, we've done FOIA requests and we have CIA documents that clearly exonerate fucking Scott Ritter, I would apologize. But that is not a reality. There is no other evidence. Otherwise, people that are screaming vehemently how innocent the guy is and how we should just give it a rest, they don't offer any kind of fucking any sort of fucking weight for their position. Like, are you going to actually give me something that makes me think that you might be right? I mean, I'm willing to evolve my position on any topic. I don't give a fuck what it is. If you know more about it than I do and you can inform my decision making and my opinion on a thing, I'm going to consider everything that you have to say and probably adjust my opinion accordingly, because that's how we learn things, and that's how you're supposed to communicate with other humans. And it just seems like the art of that and being able to just articulate your idea and your perspective of a thing is just so diminished and so glossed over these days. Like, people just if you go any deeper than just the surface of something, then people have all sorts of ideas about oh, that person's too intense. You're just, I don't know. It just seems the art of communication is just slowly grinding to a fucking halt.
Yep, Max, you gotta eat, dude.
Yeah, I'm not trying to claim any moral high ground. I'm trying to say wrong is wrong and right is right. And if you have more information that's going to make me feel one way or the other, or some things are just fucking pretty cut and dry and you can form your opinion about them. I'm not gonna fucking belittle anyone for having a different opinion. I'm gonna make the most passionate, informed statement about my position on that thing, so that I can express myself fully and you understand why I've reached this conclusion about it. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate thing when you're trying to communicate with someone, is to get your point across in no uncertain terms, so people understand what you're saying and have a chance to digest it and fucking retort with you and ask you about why you feel that way and what are the motivating things behind your position. I just feels like it's so one-dimensional now that people conflate oh, you're just a fucking pompous asshole because you think this. No, I think this because of these reasons, and I'll explain it to you if you ask me. You know what I mean? Or if you want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
That's the problem, is all that time that it takes to do that legwork for people to understand each other. People just too busy for it and got time to hear your bullshit, and they're out, and they'll block you, and they'll fucking mute you, and they'll fucking ignore you, and they won't come to your live stream or whatever. They'll just put you out of their mind, and that's fine too. If it's easier to deal with,
each their own.
Absolutely.
Did you see the comment though? Can we try to move on from that?
Yeah, reminds me of people minimizing RFK's anti-Palestinian racism and characterizing it as nitpicking because of the bigger picture. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think he fully took what kind of decent alty subversive kind of fucking vote angle
full on display,
right? And then he just showed everybody his ass.
And what did I do? I had a thread calling this kind of shit out about RFK, and what happened? I got attacked about that too. You know what? Like I'm okay with it because I stick my fucking neck out. I get all this fucking backlash for shit, and then it fucking comes true. Like it just keeps happening. So it's like, all right, yeah, like this is how we're doing it then. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe Scott does need that. He needs some more of that from other people.
Okay.
Just, it's just not from me.
Yeah, we'll discuss this on Twitter. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets really bad on there. I mean, like
it just twists immediately on
there
Twitter.
There are certain things, like there are certain people that like see what I say on there, and they're like, they actually will stand up for me and be like, actually, Lucky's one of like the most like balanced views. I have friends on there that are completely conservative Ron DeSantis people. Oh my God. Clutch your pearls. We don't agree on him, and we don't have, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not into any electoral politician. You know what I mean? But the thing is that I'm friends with people from like all walks of life and all different backgrounds, because I try to understand where they're coming from. The other people that are like common sense people, I try to understand how they feel and how do we like come together and what do we agree upon and things like that. And I find a lot of common ground with people, but some people are so overreactionary. It is absolutely insane. Like I have people that all have comrade in their bios, and you know what I mean, like lefty and all this and that. Those are the people that come at me. The people are like, oh, you're not a comrade because you don't group think with me. It's bullshit.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
And then they try to tell me like I'm not like on their perspective. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not a Trumper or a conservative. So you know what I mean? What I don't fit in your neat little box?
Get in the box.
Too bad.
Don't you know how to get in your box? Get in your box. That sounded like my aunt. She used to have a boxer. She'd be like, get in your box. She had a really gruff voice too. She smoked too much. Like, get in your box. Come on, poopy, get in a box.
All right, let me see what's going on.
What is going on? It's getting late. What time is it?
Yeah, we've been going for like 3 hours.
Going for 3 freaking hours.
So yeah, I think we're gonna cut this off for the evening. Well, I am. I'm looking to see if there's any. What are you doing?
I was gonna get you more water.
I'm not asking. Thank you though. So, I hope that everybody, can, leave us a comment below. If you don't agree with us, let us know. I've asked, I hope that you'll be respectful about it. And, we weren't trying to be disrespectful to anybody ourselves about what we're saying.
I want everyone to be as disrespectful as possible in the comments at all times.
No, they can direct them directly at you if that's what they want.
Well, definitely.
Definitely.
I deserve the disrespect because I am such a disrespectful little son of a bitch.
It's not always, we have conversations and we talk about things that are not always easy, and that not everybody is ready to really talk about. So, but I also feel that there is a large portion of the left that is not talking about this. They're not talking about what's happening with trans ideology and all of that is happening. So, I'm hoping that more people will talk about it so that we can find our middle ground and find our voices and find where we do actually stand with this. Hey, Chris. Yeah, we're just wrapping up. You're here at the very end. the heart thingy in the corner of the chat reminds me of Kiki. All right. Remember to breathe. Try to be kind to each other. Check out the store. LuckyBurritoArt.com.
Please.
There's not enough people talking about it, Grey Walker. At least not from like this kind of perspective. And if we allow just a more conservative, angle to happen, then, like that's they're going to be the loudest voices against the other side of it, and then we're going to lose, having any say and finding any middle ground, I'm
going to sing a song and then we'll go away.
Well, is it going to get me a thing? Like, I don't want a thing.
I don't think you're going to get a thing. How am I going to get a thing?
Is it yours?
It wasn't going to be mine, no. Okay. All right, I'll sing one of mine.
Yeah, my best friend is trans. Like, we're not against trans people at all. Like, I was best man in his wedding, and I wore a dress. So how's that for you?
I feel frozen like the rain before the springtime thaw. Wide awake and dreaming about walking out that front door. I've been questioning myself and the others around me. It seems I'm falling back down to the way the things used to be. And it's a goddamn shame that people got to be so strange. And it's a goddamn shame they're always so reluctant to change. When I'm walking in the desert, the sands of time rearrange. When I'm walking in the desert, that never seems to rain. Then there are times when I can't find the rhymes, and the sun don't shine, and I tell myself lies. Oh, but sometimes it just sounds so fine. Yeah. Yeah, now, I feel. Yeah. It sounds so fine. It sounds so fine. Yeah. When I'm walking in the desert, the sands of time rearrange. When I'm walking in the desert, it never ever seems to rain. And it's a goddamn shame that people got to be so strange. And it's a goddamn shame they're always so reluctant to change. Yeah, when I'm walking in the desert, no, it never ever did seem to rain. When I'm walking in the desert, the sands of time rearrange. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for coming, everybody. I think I have shared our origin story. Maybe we'll have to do a thing on that. But not right now. Because this is like we're over 3 hours.
Yep. Shut her down.
Check out the shop, luckyburritoart.com.
Please to be buying things from our store so that we can stay alive. Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
It does.
all.
It helps us. There's links in the description if you want to check out other things. And we will put the links for all this in the description too. Good night.
Good night, y'all.